when we used to have all the cars together and bushwalk going out. Now it was kind of gotten used to just the one vehicle and having it quite quiet before we started. And well, poor Pooji is probably feeling a little bit left out. What has happened to Pooji? I had Pooji here just now. I don't know what happened to Pooji. Pooji was somewhere there. Sorry, Senzo, my bad. I don't know what happened to Pooji. Pooji might have fallen out the car. I hope not. But if it has, oh well, we'll have to go back and find him. He was out and about just now as well. Sorry, Senzo. I almost took Senzo out completely. I was too busy looking for Pooji and looking at the camera. But while I try and concentrate on driving and try and get to where we're going to do time lapses, let's head across to Ali, I think, who's going to say good afternoon to all of you. And I'm sure it'll be a very nice welcome back for VM the Wildebeest.
And welcome. My name is Ali, and on camera today we are welcoming VM back. Woohoo! So I'm sure he's very happy to be back, and we're all very thrilled to have him back. As like Tristan said, now there's two of us going around all the way around Djuma. Now we are on Wendy today, and she is being a little bit moody. I think she has missed VM quite a bit, and VM, all the viewers are very happy to see you, and I'm sure he's very happy to at least present a thumb and say that he's happy to be back. And VM, where would you like to go today? We can go on an exploratory mission of Djuma for you. The place with the most leopards. The place with the most leopards. Okay, we can try the place for the most leopards. I'm not quite sure which one it is just yet. Tristan had quite a feeling of the Malawati being the place for leopards, but we shall see. I'm not too sure, but I like that, the place of leopards. Yesterday, actually, the place of leopards was everywhere, VM, so hopefully today we'll carry on with all the good luck. But I think the first thing that we're gonna do is go check around one of the hyena dens, just because they are on our way, and one of the other vehicles is checking the other hyena den. So hopefully one of them will be active today. That will be very nice. Now, the weather is a little bit funny today, but I think it's getting a little bit better. You can see the clouds all the way cruising around, and that's actually not us. I'm a little bit afraid of switching Wendy off for the time being, so I think we're gonna keep her on for a while so that she gets used to driving again. Now, everything should be fine, but like we said, we had a little bit more of rain this afternoon, around about, I would say 1 o'clock this afternoon, which was quite nice, because then it was that nice soft rain that we need to make everything beautiful and green and lush again. So hopefully we will have no more of that for the afternoon drive, and the rain can come back clearly after we're done. Because I'm not too sure how I would feel about getting wet, and you would have such a great welcome getting wet on your first drive back. Although, did you get wet in the Mara? All the time? Okay, so you must be used to this. We have been enjoying the lack of rain for the time being. But let's see, who knows? Maybe the mystery leopard that we saw around Buffelshoek was around yesterday. We had quite a debate, but I think the general was... Oh, I don't remember now what the general consensus was. I think we agreed that it was Impala. I, to be honest, didn't manage to see much of him, so... If you guys managed to ID him yesterday, do let us know, because I'm very curious to find out who it is that we saw and who it is that we might expect to see again this afternoon. Hopefully he would have come back. Let's see. Beach, if you're wondering who won the Tristan won. To the date, exactly. He said that it was going to start raining on the 27th of September, and we had about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain. September.
Well, unfortunately, it seems a few little gremlins are on Wendy once again. Hopefully they sort those out and that she'll be back with us. But, well, we've just finished our time lapse. We had Senzo out and about. And Senzo, how are you looking today? I haven't even looked at Senzo's fashion today. I think he's looking quite suave. Yes, he's all in black today. So he's got himself some black pants. I'm going to describe to you what Senzo's wearing. He's got his bush boots on, which are a nice tan color. You can show those, Senzo. Off you go. Come on. No, you've got to. Come on, buddy. We can't just let people down. So there we go. You can see he's got his little bush-colored shoes on, and then he's got some skinny black pants on which are looking quite good, and then a black collared button-down shirt, a black jersey under the button-down shirt, and then he's got a green jacket and a black trench coat, and what's colour socks? Grey coloured socks today. So Senzo is going for what matches the moody weather. He's going to be grey and dark and all of that for this afternoon, and well, I'm hoping when we get some sunshine the colours will be back, because we need a bit of brightening up in our day. So for those of you that were wondering what's happening with Senzo's socks and whether or not he's brightly coloured, well, today he's dressed a little bit more like a crow than a lilac-breasted roller. Now, we did find Pooji. Everyone will be happy to know he didn't fall out. Pooji is still with us. Pooji's fine. He's not being punished for anything. It's just that Rusty's not the best place for Pooji. Unfortunately, Rusty doesn't really do well for Pooji, so poor Pooji has to hide next to me. So Pooji goes over there, and that's where Pooji's got to stay for the afternoon, because he's not allowed to kind of fall off, and been a little bit naughty lately on Rusty, so I'd rather send him back towards Wendy with Ali over the next little bit, because I think Ali will stay in Wendy and I will stay in Rusty. It just works out much easier. Now, this afternoon, while Ali and I do roam around the dark, dingy Djuma, I believe Jamie Patterson is also out and about in the Mara, and she is apparently looking very stylish today, and I wonder what her plans are.
Well, I have to say the giraffe are almost as stylish as we are, don't you think, Dave? I hear that Tristan's been making comments about my hat. A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Dave is on camera with me once again. Dave's pretty stylish, you know, I have to say. Dave tends, especially in winter, less so in summer. That sounds terrible. That's not what I meant at all. I just meant that you, with your scarf, don't you remember you had that really trendy black scarf last year? What happened to that scarf? You lost it. I mean, we are, of course, incredibly fashion-conscious people out here. We're always meticulous about our appearance. That's not true. No, very good afternoon to all of you. As you know, we are building up here in the Maasai Mara to the finale of our migration experience. That is where we are for our new viewers. So you've been in South Africa with Tristan. You are now in the Maasai Mara of Kenya, which is really quite the feat of technology when you think about it, that you can be live from 2 different countries in Africa and go on a safari. So because we're live, don't forget to send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. We've got this lovely group of giraffe, and what's really nice about it is we're almost eye level with them, which, as you can imagine, doesn't often happen with giraffe. And that's because they're in this river system over here. And for those of you learning the geography of the area, or learning basically a little bit more about where we go and where we are, we're at the Sausage Tree Pride Lugger, or drainage line, where I've lost them probably a total of 4 or 5 times. I know where they are. We'll go back to them later. They're so sleepy, I thought we'd take the opportunity to go for a little drive around first. Giraffes slowly making their way out. Thank you for all the compliments on the hat. Apparently Tristan is saying that Brent Leo Smith is the trendiest of all here at Safari Live. I have to say I couldn't agree more. It's the colour clashing shukas that really complete the image, and then hair that is slightly in need of a haircut. I couldn't agree more, Tristan. Also, says the person who's got what is that thing that Tristan's been carrying around on his dashboard? Pooji. Yeah, I know. David's looking at me in horror. I don't know, I've just been seeing screenshots of that emoticon sitting, or a real life physical form of that emoticon sitting on Tristan's dashboard. Not quite sure exactly what's going on there. We do miss them, and it's going to be very strange doing the TV show without VM around, but I'm glad to hear that he's back on Djuma. Hey, girl. A youngster coming out in front of us. And it's still hard to believe to me that we're in the same... that it's the same place that we were in a few weeks ago. Oh, there's an eland. All the big animals. Here we go, there's that massive bull eland that also hangs around here. Right, well, speaking of big animals, it seems like Tristan has upped the ante.
Well, we have upped the ante a little bit. It's not the spotted cat that we were looking for, but it is still a beautiful group of elephants and wonderful to see them. I'm pretty sure it's the same herd I had this morning. I'm just trying to find a short trunk in amongst them. It's a small grouping once again, and it's not too far north from where I left them this morning. And given the weather that we've had, I think it's been a day of just slowly ambling around the northern Sabi Sands looking for any signs of food. So they've been in amongst these thickets, they've been in the open grassy areas, and they've been slowly but surely just feeding their way northwards. Eventually, I think they're going to get towards Gari Dam, and they'll probably have a drink there. But the need to drink and the desire for water will be far less today than it would have been on a very, very hot day. That would have driven them to water much quicker. Today they can just slowly amble along. They're not losing huge amounts of moisture. They're also not dehydrating from the sun beating down on them, and so it can be a much slower process as they get to water, and they'll probably eventually get there this evening. I would imagine at the rate that they're feeding now, it will probably take them about 3-4 hours just to get towards Gari Dam, but they are heading slowly in that direction and pointing that way at the moment. So I don't know if it's exact same herd though. Difficult to say. The views that we've got of them are just big grey bums in amongst the grey dead trees at the moment. So I suppose they're not dead trees, the wintry trees should we say, because all of those will have green leaves fairly shortly, and then those elephants would be almost not visible if it was the summer months. But it looks like the same sort of composition of the herd. I can't see nicely, but it does look like a similar composition. Of course, we do get multiple different herds of elephants through here, and once one herd comes, generally we find a situation where multiple different groupings come in, and we end up with an almost influx of elephants into the area. And some days we'll be out here and there'll be literally a herd around every single corner, and like I say, sometimes it happens just as one herd comes through, then the rest start arriving as well, and we end up with a little bit of an elephant invasion. And let's hope that's on the cards for the next little bit, because elephants really are such a wonderful creature, and to spend time around them, particularly here in the Sabi Sands where they're relaxed, they are approachable, they come really quite close, and they're not very nervous of us. They're a wonderful animal to spend time with, and the interactions that they have, not only with us but with each other and with the herd, and the way that they sort of feed and the way that they interact with their young, and drinking and playing in mud, all of those things are just the most wonderful sort of animal to watch and to spend time with. And like I say, I find elephants very interactive. I find elephants like to know what's going on. They're curious, they come towards you, they investigate, they're looking around, they interact with their environment, and that they use trees and roots and grasses and soil and mud and water and everything that is a component of their area they will utilize and mess around with. And on top of it, they also have a little bit of a cheeky side to them, and they'll chase birds and all kinds of other things. So I really do love spending time with them, and it's the perfect way to start our afternoon. Palin, you're asking if elephants destroy many trees. Now, I'm going to ask Senzo just to zoom out a little bit for me, and I want to show you just how many trees the elephants have destroyed in this area alone. So, as we come out, just look at the number of trees. That tree on the left with the nest that is in it, so the one at the back there, well, there's one right there that's been pushed over by an elephant and destroyed. Then the one that was standing and sort of silhouetted with those big black balls or nests on it, the one to the right of that, and if Senzo just pans all the way to the right, you'll just see multiple different dead trees. All those tall trees have been destroyed by elephants, and what's happened with those is most of them have been ring-barked, and the one in front of us is probably the easiest one to show you why I say they've been ring-barked. If we go close in on that tree's trunk, you'll see that there is bark there, and then there is no bark. And so what's happened is the elephants have fed around that, and they're looking for a red layer called the cambium layer. Now, the cambium layer is the transport system from the roots of this tree up to the leaves of this tree, and it allows this tree to survive. Once they strip the bark all the way around this tree, it then unfortunately cuts that, and the tree starts to die and to rot. It also exposes it to all kinds of wood-boring insects and various other things, and this tree then dies. And so all of those dead trees, as Senzo was panning across, is all because of elephants ring-barking them and stripping the bark for food. And there you can see a lot of fallen over dead trees that have been pushed. And a lot of that would have been done last year during the drought. At the end of the day, they didn't have any grass to feed off last year, so they had to go after trees, and they pushed a lot of the trees down and utilized those. So yes, they can be very damaging, but in the same breath, with elephants, what you will find is that they're exposing food to other animals. So when they push a tree down, like this acacia that Senzo's just shown you, that will be food for another animal that maybe couldn't have reached that. So something like a nyala or a kudu or an impala that maybe couldn't reach those leaves, it's now reachable for them. It's also going to create a habitat for, like we were saying, wood-boring insects, scorpions. We'll find genets, lilac-breasted rollers, owls, all kinds of things will nest in those big dead trees. So even though they are destroying a tree, they're still creating an environment for other species to thrive. And so sometimes people look at destruction and they say elephants are bad animals and they're making a lot of mess and we are overpopulated and they're destroying the environment. But in the actual side of things is we have only been watching for such a short period of time and monitoring for such a short period of time. We don't know the full extent of how elephants work and what their role is within the environment. The other side of it is we have kind of closed off the way that they move, and that means that they increase pressure in a certain area. But who knows, maybe this is how elephants work, is that they will flatten a certain section and then they move into another area, and that section then repopulates with trees and it just re-stimulates the environment. We don't know that just yet because our history with them is just too short from studying them. But yes, they do have a big impact on our big trees out here, particularly the species of tree that I showed you. All those dead big trees are called knobthorns, and so all of them have been really hammered. And in fact, the Kruger National Park at the moment is trying to section off big tracts of land where there's knobthorn forests and trying to push all the elephants out there. Then they fence it off and they allow those young knobthorns to grow and to get big, because they reckon that the bigger knobthorns are far less likely to be attacked than the smaller ones. And so they're trying to section off, and then as that section comes right, they then move it to the next section, and they just kind of rotate it, and they keep elephants out of certain areas to keep the knobthorn forests alive and well. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, also at the end of the day, a lot of destruction on these big knobthorns and various other trees during the drought last year was blamed on elephants, and it actually wasn't. A lot of it was also to do with termites. So we find that the termites last year, because there was no grass, they actually started stripping the bark off trees, and there was a serious amount of damage done to trees by termites last year as well. So not just the ellies, but what I'm going to do is, because the visual of these ellies is not great, I want to just go around the corner. I can see another elephant that was in the road and standing right next to the road, so might as well go and have a little look at that ellie instead of staring off at the ones in the distance that are a bit obscured by a few trees. So we're just going to come round. There's actually 3 or 4 of them here, so there's a few more than I thought. There we go. So take care, an elephant has 4 teeth basically. So it's got 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and they are massive when they're fully grown. They're not a small tooth at all. It's not like our teeth. But they do get 6 sets of those 4 teeth in their lifetime. So what will happen is when they start out, their teeth are a little bit smaller. They chew on things, it wears down. And as those teeth are wearing, so the next set of teeth is pushing forward in the jaw. It's much like a train track, if you want to call it that. And they kind of push out, and those small teeth, once they are redundant, basically fall out, and the next set sets in. And then that keeps going and through their lifetime until such time as the last set wears down. And actually, a lot of elephants here in Africa die because of that last set wearing down, and they can no longer find the relative nutrients and feed off the nutrients to survive. So they get into a situation where they're eating, teeth are wearing down, they can no longer feed off bark, they can no longer feed off roots, they can no longer get cambium. Sorry, I kept quiet just because they were rumbling a little bit and just talking to each other. And so they have a struggle then to find food, and they move then into riverbed systems or soft vegetation areas, which is generally where there's a lot of water, and they'll feed off grasses and reeds and those kind of things. Eventually, even that becomes too difficult for them to break down and digest, and they start to then emaciate and basically starve to death. It's a pretty horrible way to go, and you would think that nature would have come up with a more efficient way to kill them, but alas, they haven't. Now, we're going to sit with our ellies a while longer. It really is a wonderful way to start our safari. And so while we sit with these guys, I believe Ali has found, I think, what is Murder Inc. And for those of you who don't know, Murder Inc. is the ground hornbill flock.
We did. We found actually a few of them, but they have seemed to carry it on walking in the same direction where this one is. Funny enough, we saw them from the other road that is parallel to this one. We drove around just to be able to try and get a closer look at them. And then, of course, now that we are on the other side of the road, then they have gone back to where they were initially, just to try and make it everything easier. But these beautiful turkey-like creatures that we're looking at, these are the beautiful ground hornbills. And I think it's a flock of about maybe 4. I think that's what I counted. I may be adding 1. And obviously they are, as this one did in that very common flick of the head, they're busy looking for food, and when they do catch it, then they tilt their head backwards, open their beak, and pretty much pop whatever it is that they're eating into their mouth. Tristan had quite an interesting sighting of them a few days ago, where they appear to either be finishing off or killing or heading against the remains of the carcass of another ground hornbill. But in this case, luckily, it's quite a nice family affair. They're all busy looking for food and nobody's getting killed in the process. Because it is very sad, because these birds are still considered somewhat endangered in this area, and they are not as common as we would like them to be. Gone behind the termite mound. Now I see the road is heading back in that direction, so I think what we're going to do is actually try and go around once more, see if maybe we can have a nice view of them, because they seem to be up to a lot of things, so hopefully we'll be able to get another view of them instead of them coming back this side. Oh yes, Wendy, you're turning on. Woohoo! I was a bit nervous there for 1 second, but let's see. Hopefully we'll be able to see them again. Where did you go, guys? Come back! Now they are probably some of my favorite animals around here, just because that so striking, and the noise that they make, the sound is very beautiful, and it's almost like water. I don't know how else to explain the sound that they make. Is very beautiful. Now I thought the road was closer, but I think I am mistaken, and I actually saw a master drain, which are these things here on the side of the road that are designed just to deviate the water flow. So if the water starts flowing on the road, it will normally come up from there all the way from the front and then go all the way down here. So they actually design them to help with the road, or the maintenance of the roads, and to avoid them getting damaged by the rain. At this time of the year, not too much to worry about, but when we do get the proper thunderstorms that go on for a few days at a time, and when there's lots of water coming down, you want to try and get the water out of the roads so that the roads don't get damaged and they don't get really around. Now I'm going to drive around again, see if maybe these hornbills will stick around in our search for VM's welcome back leopard. I wonder who it's going to be. Ooh, parrot! Stop flying! Yes! Alright, seems like it's the day of the colorful birds. Hello, beautiful. This is a brown-headed parrot. You see that beautiful striking, and that color, that very high-pitched noise. I think he is indulging in the fruits of that bush willow over there, or at least that's what he seems to be eating in quite a fashion. Yep, is it yummy? Grabs it with its feet, goes into the mouth, eats a little bit, just gets the tasty inside part, and then when he's done, poof, off to the ground it goes. Well, this was a nice surprise. There's a pair that we always see around camp, but I'm very happy to see them outside, because we see them often, but you just see those bright flashes of green flying around, because the bottom part of their body is of that very striking green. Are you going to fly? I was almost hoping that he was going to fly. Oh, there we go. Very beautiful and green. Mr. P, you're wondering if I could be a bird. What bird would I be? I don't know. My favorite birds are oxpecker, to eat ticks all day long, so that's the part that I'm not 100% sure about. But I think maybe a fish eagle would be nice to be, or a ground hornbill. I think actually maybe I'm leaning more towards ground hornbill, because they're just so big and they're always in groups and they have this beautiful call, and I cannot sing, so I'm very jealous of all the creatures that can do that. So probably ground hornbill would be the one, or an owl. I would like to be an owl too, like a Pell's fishing owl. We're going to try and see if maybe we can find these ground hornbills again. If not, then we're going to leave this area and move on to hopefully greener pastures or animals wherever they might be. But while we do that, I'm pretty sure that we are going to be able to head back to Tristan. Seems to be enjoying the company of a lot of elephants.
Well, I am indeed, but I'm a bit perplexed as to why Ali would want to eat ticks all day. I don't think I would want to be something that ate ticks. Ticks freak me out completely, and I get absolutely assaulted by them. So I suppose an oxpecker would be a good thing, because I could exact some revenge on the myriad of ticks that have bitten and fed off my blood over the years, and maybe that's actually a good one to be, just to, like I say, exact a bit of revenge on the tick world. But actually, I suppose for me, I would want to be something that's able to fly and quite high and to see amazing things, and oxpeckers just don't fly enough for me to want to be them as a bird. I think I would probably go for a eagle of some sorts. In fact, I know what I would be. I would be a crowned eagle. That's what I would want to do, fly through the forested areas of Africa, and you have massive, incredibly powerful talons, and well, you just look pretty badass as well. Crowned eagles seem to have this look on their faces like they mean business, and I like them. I don't know why. It's just always been one of my favorite birds, and I feel like they would be an amazing bird to kind of be and to soar and to see the world from up there would be quite wonderful. Now, something that will never be flying and never be soaring, even though cartoons have made them do it before, is our elephants. Unfortunately for them, they are ground-based. But I suppose as an elephant, when you are the king of what goes on out here, it's not that unfortunate. You are big, strong, and therefore can keep everybody at bay, which is also quite cool. Sinak, this is an interesting question, because for a long time when I first started guiding and I spoke to a few people, they used to tell me that elephants don't get ticks, and that's why you don't see oxpeckers on elephants. Now, that is completely not true. All right, elephants do get ticks. They get one specific type of tick that I keep seeing. I'm yet to find the exact name for it, but it is a massive, big white tick that they get, a grey-white color. Generally find it between their front legs, so on their sort of chin areas and chest and between the legs, and sometimes even on the legs itself. And then every now and then you will find them on the sort of tail area, but not that common. So while they do have a very thick skin, and ticks do battle a little bit to get into places where they can find blood, and elephants are very good at looking after themselves in that they'll dust bathe regularly, they swim a lot, which is a good way to get rid of a lot of ticks. They still do get them. There is the odd ticks, it's just that their tick count is much lower than any other species we have out here. Things like impalas, kudu, nyala, buffalo, even rhinos, giraffe, they have very high tick counts, and that means that it's easy for oxpeckers to feed off them and to find them. On elephants, not so much. You will find probably in this herd structure maybe 5 or 6 ticks in total throughout this whole herd, whereas if you had this many buffalo together, you would have probably easily a couple hundred, 300-400 adult ticks and thousands of little larvae ticks. So it would be a situation where there's just not enough food for oxpeckers to even waste their time. Plus, I would imagine an oxpecker would be receiving a few trunk blows to the head should it feed off a tick on an elephant. So elephants are able to look after themselves. They will get rid of them. Sometimes you'll find those ticks just feed to the point where they look as though they're going to burst, and then they drop off, and it seems to have no ill effect on the ellies. Do you see one there, Senzo? Yes, there might be one. It's not the grey-white ones that I was talking about, but Senzo can spot something just on the front right leg there. So the leg far from us, you can see it looks like a tick that is on there as well. So hopefully he'll just pull his right leg forward. There we go. It looks like at least 2 ticks on that leg. So you can see that they do get parasites in the form of ticks. But you can imagine to cause any damage to an elephant, and especially the amount of blood that they've got. Remember, there's about 350 liters of blood inside an elephant's body, and so the amount of bacteria or toxins that a tick excretes from its mouthparts would have to be so much to affect an elephant in any way that they very seldom are affected by ticks. They're not like some of the other animals out here that do get some complications from tick bites. This little one is full of nonsense, though. It's been throwing its ears out at us regularly. It's because there's a bit of a breeze that kind of kicks up every now and then, and our scent is blowing towards it. Also, I'm sure the scent of Rusty is not that pleasant at the moment, even for myself and Senzo. We're sitting here and we have breathing in quite heavy petrol fumes at the moment, so I think there must be a little issue somewhere where there's a bit of petrol leaking, and so maybe this elephant is also picking up the petrol smell and finding it's a little bit offensive as well, and that's why I keep seeing it ears out whenever the wind blows. Michael, you're asking if this elephant is young? Yes, this is a fairly young elephant. I would age this elephant probably in its teens, so I would say early teens, maybe 12, 13, somewhere around there. It could be a little bit older than that, but it is a young elephant. Small tusks, small body size, and doesn't have sunken in temples yet, so the area just between the eyes and the ears is still quite filled out, which is often a sign of when they age, is that part there will just sink in a little bit. So this is a younger individual, like I say, teens area, young teens is where it would be. Now, as a male elephant or a female elephant, as a young teen, it depends on what you are as to what you're going to do. This looks like a little young female, so she will be part of the herd and will start breeding fairly shortly. So if, as a female elephant, normally around 12 is when they can start breeding, and they will then produce their first calf normally around 14 and a half, sometimes 15. Then from there, then it's just a succession of calves as they go through life every couple of years. If it's a male, then he might be lucky and be tolerated until he's about 15 years old, and then at which case he's probably going to be pushed out of the herd. So this little female at least is going to be here for a while longer still. At least, should we say. Jonathan, you're asking if there are pygmy elephants in Africa. No. So what we do have in Africa is we've got this savanna elephant, and then we get what's called a forest elephant. Now, the forest elephant is a lot smaller than what we see from these savanna elephants. They are sort of evolved to have survived in forest areas where it's thicker, it's denser, they can't have that same bulk to move around those sections. Also, it's muddy all the time, and heavier weight means they're going to be sucked in and they're just going to tire themselves out all the time. So a big forest elephant would be about this size from what Brent tells me, because Brent is probably the only one on our crew that's actually seen the forest elephants up in Gabon. And he was, one day we were discussing size with him, and he was saying that some of the big males would not even reach some of the size of the big females that we see here. So most females would be like our young females that we've got in front of us, are relatively small individuals, and therefore they, I suppose, could be classed as smaller, but definitely not pygmy. And that's the only elephants really that we get here in Africa is these guys and those forest elephants. And you can see the size of the female in the background, and look at her temples. When I was talking about aging of an elephant, if you compare the forehead of this female closest to us, and then you look at the one in the back, you see how just between the eyes and the ears, that skin is sunken right in comparison to this individual in front of us. So that's how we use age. Also, her size and bulk is way bigger than what this one closest to us is. You'll see it when she gets a little bit nearer. She's going to slowly but surely approach, and already you can see her shoulder height is much taller than this elephant closest to us. A lot bulkier, big mammary glands from having a number of different young, and even a herniated stomach to a bit. Proudcat Mama, you're wondering what is the average size of an elephant's trunk? Well, I don't know if you mean in length in terms of feet, but I would imagine in terms of feet on an adult individual. Remember that obviously the trunk grows throughout their life, so it's growing as the elephant grows. There's no sort of average size for a young elephant or anything like that. But let's take adults, hypothetically, and I would say that probably you find in adults that their trunks fully extended, because remember that the muscle can extend quite extensively. It's not just what you see when it's carrying it. It will extend out a little bit more. I would say fully extended, that we're looking at probably, I would say 10-11 feet fully extended on an adult elephant, but I might be wrong. I mean, I don't know if there is actually an accurate calculation as to how long they are, but I think it's about 10-11 feet. I might be wrong. It might be a little bit longer than that on the big bull elephants, but somewhere around that area. In terms of weight, it will weigh, a fully grown male elephant's trunk can weigh over 300 pounds. So it is a very heavy object, and it is all muscles. There's no bone structure in there, and that's how they're able to move their trunk around, to manipulate it in ways to be able to feed off grasses and plants and roots and bark and all the various other items that we have out here that they like to feed on. But she really is, this is a beautiful individual. She's a big girl. You can see little one is coming slowly but surely. Come on, catch up. And you can actually see that this little one's, even though we can't see its tusks yet, you can see the tusks under the lip. So they haven't come out just yet, but you can actually see where the swelling is and where the teeth are slowly starting to emerge and come out. So she will have tusks at some point. She's not going to be tuskless. It's just that they haven't exposed, and that means that that elephant's probably about 4 years old. Their tusks do start to show at about 4 years is when you first see them. But look at the size of this female. She is massive. I'm hoping the little one's going to come up alongside her, and it'll give you just an idea of how big she is. There we go. She is really a very big girl, and a little suckle maybe. How cool is that? Mom seems to be completely relaxed with the little one having a suckle. Sometimes when they're in feeding mode, they don't particularly like their little ones having a drink because they're wanting to move, but this mom is being very patient and is allowing that calf to have a good suckle of nutrients and nutrient-rich milk, should we say. Laurie, you're asking if I find the male elephants more cheeky in their teen years than what the females are. Most definitely. The males are full of nonsense and are often going all over the show and causing trouble. And the reason why is that in their teen years, so when they start getting to 12 years old, while the females are flushing with estrogen, the males are flushing with testosterone. And so now they want to prove themselves as the big animal. They've seen mom chasing other animals around, and so they often get the same with their ears out, and they trumpet and they carry on. And so yes, young males often are the cheekiest of the group, but they soon learn. And that's why you've got to be, when you're around elephants, and it's one of the big problems that we have with national parks and people doing self-drives and those kind of things where they drive themselves, is that young bull elephants will often try their luck, but the thing is that you've almost got to teach them in a way that that's not acceptable, and you've got to stand your ground. They will be too nervous to follow through because these are the first few times that they're trying this, and they're still a little bit unsure of themselves. And if people then just drive away and try and get away from that elephant, the elephant is just going to think, well, every time I chase, then I'm going to do it. And if then somebody comes along and doesn't do it, then it feels like it's being challenged, and it's going to push that little bit harder and maybe make contact with the car. So it's a situation that you've got to sometimes be a little bit firm with the young boys because they are cheeky and they are naughty. Now our female and her calf are going to slowly feed their way along. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to keep visual of them as they cross over towards a rather thick, deep drainage line that's not very good for vehicles, and so we'll try and keep hold of them and try and watch them for a little bit. But before Ali's bird of prey flies away, let's go across to her.
Well, it seems like we've been very lucky with the birds of prey. We are looking at a dark chanting goshawk over here, although the colors are not that great because of the way that the sky is today. But he seems to have caught something. VM believes it's a bird, and I think I might agree with him just because now I can almost see a few feathers coming in or flying all the way in the wind. It was actually a squirrel that pointed us out towards where the bird of prey was, because you can hear them there in the background. It's almost like a laugh that the squirrels make. And it was all the way in the background making that noise, and then all of a sudden this little squirrel was coming around. Now, I'm going to perhaps have to move the car around, so just please bear with me 1 second while I do that, just because we are in the main road, and we just need to let somebody come through. So, we're going to get out of the way, and then we're going to go look at our beautiful bird of prey once more. Hello! Good, thanks. There's a dark chanting goshawk there with the kill.
A what?
Dark chanting goshawk. Just all the way there. Hello, puppies! Cool. Thank you very much. Alrighty. Now we can go all the way back and carry on as we were. Now, I think maybe there, VM, is that gonna be good for you? Alright, sorry about it, guys. We are in a bit of a main road, so we've got to be polite and let other people go through. David, you say this is number 47 on your bird list, and then of course I miscalculated and now there's a branch in the way. So, but you guys get the idea. I'm very glad, David, that this is a new bird for you, and is a very nice one to have. Funny enough, on the, I would say, northeastern corner of South Africa, we get the dark chanting goshawk, and then on the eastern side of South Africa, we get the pale chanting goshawk, and they're virtually or essentially the same. It's just a bit of a difference in coloration that makes it all a little bit funnier and hard to spot. Now, I've got the book here, and I would just like to show you guys what they look like in the book, just to give you a bit of an idea, because the weather today is unfortunately not helping us out all that much. So you see we are looking at this one over here, the dark chanting goshawk. Very beautiful bird. So you see we've got the bright red legs and the bright red beak around here, so easy to spot all around here. And then on top of the dark chanting goshawk, of course, we get the pale chanting goshawk, which looks pretty much the same. Pretty much the same, just a little bit of a different color. Ooh. So you see, there's just a bit of a difference in coloration Sorry, Megan, I believe that you were trying to say something to me, but unfortunately the radio was a bit too loud. Sinak, you were wondering about the difference between the different goshawks. Well, a lot of it is just size, and coloration between the dark and the pale chanting. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. And then also the other one, we have a few different ones, like the Gabar goshawk, for example. It's just a lot smaller than these two that we're looking at. We've actually seen, and the Gabar goshawk also, just in terms of strange birds of prey, because it seems like we've been lucky with the birds of prey lately. They also get a dark morph, just like we get the Wahlbergs that have a pale morph, then we get the Gabar goshawks, which is a smaller version of this one that we're looking at, that they can go entirely black, and it's actually a very interesting view. And it's, I would say, just about maybe 10 centimeters smaller than the one that we're looking at. It must have been quite hard to catch whatever it is, because we haven't seen it feed on it, not even once. I think probably that squirrel is still irritating it. James, you're wondering which raptor species has the most color morphs. Well, I think Wahlberg's eagles are one of them, as we saw the other day. Very, very strange creatures. Booted eagles are clearly also some of the ones that are very strange, or not strange, but they're just different, because they can go very dark, very light, and pretty much anything in between. So that makes it very hard to identify. Now, if there's one perhaps that has more than 3 different color morphs, there's not to my knowledge, at least. I cannot think of anyone that's perhaps got the most color morph out of them all, because once that you start pointing out the one, then you will find that a lot of them have an average maybe 2 to 3 different color morphs. Where they go, there'll be a light version of them, and then obviously a dark version of them as well, even for the same species. And you can see how the wind is now started to blow, just ruffling all the goshawk's feathers now. Very beautiful. Now there's some grooming. I think he's not going to feed for a little while. It's just carried on grooming. So look at this. Pretty much impossible to see him. So I think we're going to carry on. See if perhaps we can find the welcome VM leopard. Hopefully we will. But we've decided to go and check the new road. Before I forget, we did go and check the hyena den. But unfortunately it was not active, the one on Gallagher Shortcut, and somebody else checked the one on Ovaries, and that one also wasn't active. And in weather like this, it's pretty normal for the cubs just to stay inside, because it's very cold out here. So not ideal. While we make our way onto the new road, I'm going to send you guys across to Jamie all the way on the Maasai Mara.
So while Ali moves on from her bird of prey, we've got a herd of elephants to enjoy. I've decided we'll leave the lions until right up until the last minute, simply because Dave and I are going to be spending a considerable period of time with them. So I thought we'd do a little trip around, and we've stumbled upon such a sweet family scene. Lots of little baby elephants around, and I actually noticed at the back there was one that was sleeping, and then there's a second one that's sleeping off to my left, completely fast asleep. All that's moving is the odd ear. There, that one. Having a nap. And we talk of elephants sleeping, and people often ask questions about how far do they travel, do they walk all night, and those sorts of questions. And it's really lovely when you see them in a situation like this, where the adults are peacefully feeding, and it's essentially a dedicated rest time for the little ones. There she goes, beating the grass, beating the dust off the grass. Obviously isn't particularly enjoyable to grab a trunk full of grass that is actually... Oh, there goes baby. Up, come on. Up you get. But difficult to get to your feet when you've just woken up from a nap. But obviously a mouthful of soil is not what you want as an accompaniment to your grass. It doesn't really bring out the flavors. So you'll usually see elephants beat the trunk, or beat the grass using their trunk to get rid of it. Oh, I know exactly how you feel, little one. I'm also always starving after a nap. Look at it. It's all sleepy. droopy-eyed. The elephants drink their mother's milk for quite a considerable period of time. They'll start to wean, so they'll start to feed off solid food at 6 months, but they'll continue to suckle from their mother for up to 3 years, and sometimes even longer, depending upon whether or not the mum does fall pregnant with another calf. So they do suckle for a long period of time, and what's always fascinating to watch is the weaning tantrums that they have. When they get to that sort of age where it's time for them to really move on to solid food completely, they go and they try and suckle, and then mom says no, whether she pulls her leg back or she actually gets slightly more angry and she pushes the little one away. And baby elephants can scream. There's not another sound on this planet that is like a baby elephant screaming. And a lot of the time, oh, it's a hyena. Random. Surprise. They just pop out of everywhere here. Elephants and hyenas, probably some of the most distinctive noises. Oh, look, now we've got another nap. Another baby elephant napping. Oh, it's so flat it's actually almost invisible. There it is. It's just in the middle there, in the gap. Oh, now Tula Ann. Tula Ann is wondering. Now, Tula Ann is one of our 5-year-old viewers. Tula Ann, you're wondering if an elephant ear is bigger than you. Tula Ann, I bet that if you curled up tight like this, I bet you'd be smaller than an elephant ear. A big elephant ear, a big bull or a big female, I think you could fit inside an elephant ear. Not inside the ear canal, obviously. That sounded a little bit peculiar. But I think you'd be, and in fact, Tula Ann, you know what? I think if we found you an elephant footprint, I think you could fit inside their footprint as well, if you curled up nice and tight. So yes, I think an elephant ear might just be bigger than you. But, Tula Ann, if you were to hold your arms out wide, then no, probably not. I think if you stretched your arms out like this, then you'd probably be a little bit bigger than an elephant ear. Especially that little baby's ear. The little one's got a distinctive tip missing to the top right ear. That's going to be that way for the rest of its life. Little boy. Proud cat mama. Of all of the animals out here, speaking of vocalizations and the hyena that we saw and the elephants, yes, elephants, and in fact, to be completely honest with you, almost all animals out here have both verbal and they have both sort of expressed sounds that they make to communicate, and they communicate silently as well. So the silent communication occurs through body language nuances, and there is a huge amount of research into something as complex as an elephant, because they really are complex creatures, and they're so attuned to speaking each other's language. But an elephant can tell you that it's upset with you, and I mean, human beings can learn to read that language as well, even the silent language. An elephant will tell you when it's upset with you without making a sound. The most important parts: ears, tail, and the trunk, in terms of elephant body language. So a head up with its ears out and completely still. Important ways of gauging an elephant's mood. Their tails as well. If you watch elephants while they're feeding peacefully, that tail is moving, swishing constantly. When that tail goes still, that elephant is focusing on something, not necessarily angry, but focused on something. When it is held out stiff at 90 degrees to the body, that elephant is angry or upset or frightened. So it really, elephant's body language, I would say the basics are probably some of the easiest to learn out here. Then there's nuances. A lot of the time, a completely dead still tail combined with a twisting trunk. Not the whole trunk, obviously, while they're feeding, but when the tip twists just a little bit, it's often a sign that that elephant is thinking, is in a moment of indecision. And those sort of nuances you can learn as time goes on. Then obviously there's the vocal sounds. Most of the time with elephants, it's either communication through very deep, calming rumbles, and it's the way of the older females that they sort of keep track of the various herd members and also other herd members around them, or other herds around them. So it's got quite a long-reaching potential. And then screams, trumpets are usually signs of distress or frustration. That pretty much summarizes all the animals out here, though. Cheese potato? I'm sorry, it was a serious question and I just had a little chuckle because I was thinking about how much I would kill for a cheese potato. Dave, how amazing would that be? Cheese potato. Cheese potato, do elephants really mourn? Not, I think, in the way that people would have you believe. I think that there is a degree of anthropomorphizing there. Will they go up and touch the carcass of an elephant? Yes. Will a mother mourn when her baby dies? Yes. Do they have complex funeral rites? No. Will they be sad when they lose a herd member? Yes, I think they would. I think they're complex enough. I think that they're smart enough. You'll find that there will be people who will disagree with me, and I guess we will never know. I do think that they will go up and touch the carcass because it's something that smells. It's a herd member that's now no longer alive. They will also go up and touch the carcasses of other animals if they find them in the bush. They'll go and have a look at them. So do they mourn? They don't have graveyards. They don't have funeral processions or funeral services. But yes, do they feel sad? Of course they do, I think. You'll find that people disagree with me. Who knows? I don't know whether or not Tristan agrees with me or if he does not, but I'm sure he will tell you if you ask him.
Well, I will, Jamie, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I agree with the fact that elephants show a far bigger range of emotions than we give them credit for. We think that these are individuals that are not capable of having emotion, but they most certainly are. I've spent a lot of time with elephants in my life and done a lot of time with orphaned elephants even, where I've watched them in a state of complete shell shock and sadness, where they segregate themselves from everything and anything. They don't go anywhere, they don't want to feed, they don't want to do anything, and that is got to be some sort of sadness that they are showing. I mean, it's grief obviously, but there is also a sadness in it, and when there's something that dies or those kind of things that happen around them, for sure there is sadness in that. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, Jamie. I don't think that elephants are given enough credit for just how intelligent they are and just how I suppose evolved they are in terms of their thinking and their ability to use their brain. We always think that us as humans are the only ones that can rationalize and can think and can display human emotions, and we call them human emotions, but I think elephants of anything have some sort of emotions that they're able to display, much like us as people. Maybe not the full range and definitely not the same intelligence, obviously, otherwise they would be driving cars and doing all kinds of other things, but they most certainly do show emotions, and they are able of processing certain feelings and displaying those feelings on an outward manner. So for me at least, like I say, I mean, there are people that disagree with Jamie and will disagree with me as well, and will say that we are anthropomorphizing animals and making them out to be, humans, and they're not. But I can tell you that elephants are insanely intelligent, and that means that they will be able to process what's going on and work it out. Right, so we arrive at Treehouse Dam now. We are slowly but surely getting there. There's not too much that I can see from here. It's not to say that there isn't anything around. There could very well be some sort of animal around here. We're just going to slowly check it out. The problem is with all the rain that we've had and the cold overcast nights, is that I'm pretty sure even the likes of Shongile, Hosana, any of these leopards have taken advantage and could potentially be just sitting on kills close to where we are, and we just can't see them because they're slightly obscured by the road. So what I'm hoping is that it's been sort of 2 full days now since the rains came, and I'm hoping that that's going to drive them to at least go drink somewhere. There's not too many puddles around. There really is only water kind of at the dams at the moment, so that means that they've still got to head in these directions, and whether or not there's heat to drive them here is debatable, but at the end of the day they've still got to look for water, they've still got to try and find water, and therefore make their way to places like this. Worth checking and worth double checking, and for the next course of the evening and afternoon, and I'm hopeful that we will find somebody somewhere in these general vicinities, whether that be Hosana or, like I say, Shongile, Tamba. One of them I'm sure is going to appear somewhere around here, and I'm hoping it is going to be Hosana at some point. I'm hoping that he's going to be at one of the dams, although I believe Twin Dams has been checked and there's no sign of any leopard at Twin Dams. But what we are about to get from Senzo. So Senzo, off you go. You have to do a little twirl when you go on the way there, a little pirouette. Are you going to do a pirouette for us? Come on, Senzo.
I'll do the catwalk for you.
The catwalk. Okay, so Senzo's going to do a catwalk. Let's see when he walks. Here we go. Come on, Senzo. You've got to do a proper fashion walk. There we go. He's giving the arm sway. Look at him go. It's a bit of swagger that he's got there. So Senzo's looking quite dapper, like I say, and looking very suave today with the black and the trench coat and the boots and the beanie, and there's even a smile. Look, he's even flashing a toothy grin at all of us. So being very, very cooperative. So, sorry, Megan, repeat that. Megan apparently has a quote that I need to use. So, yeah. As Senzo says, he was born with it. There we go. Senzo, there we go. Are you going to... There, look at that. It's a real man's man. Foot on the tire, arm on the dashboard, looking as good as he possibly can. Yes, Senzo, there we go. Look at that. Isn't it? He's better than some of our leopards in terms of posing for the camera. So he's really got away with the camera, and he's working the lens as best he can, as they say. So hopefully his time lapse is almost done now, and then we'll be back to normal safari and the real safari that we are on, and not just making complete joke out of what's going on. But Senzo, well done. I think you can definitely build up a portfolio. I think what we'll try and do is just get him on film every time. We'll get all those different outfits of Senzo, all the different poses, and we can eventually build him a portfolio. And who knows, maybe we can land you a contract, Senzo, with all kinds of different... Actually, before we go anywhere, because I've spotted something that I do want to talk about, because it is really quite pleasant. Now, earlier, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I was at this very spot, and Senzo was doing his thing, and I was chatting about gardenia flowers, and the gardenia that sits right over here, over my shoulder at the moment. Now, the gardenia at that stage had a bud, and the flower hadn't come out, but there we go. We can see the beautiful big white flower has now exposed itself and is looking ever so elegant. And these actually will smell very vibrant and flowery and florally, and it's going to be the most pleasant smell. You can also see how much the leaves have grown since we were here last time. Remember when we saw the bud, the leaves were tiny, 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 tiny. They hadn't even come out, but now we can see quite big leaves already developing on this gardenia bush, and that beautiful cream white flower. And eventually this whole tree will just be covered in cream white flowers that will slowly turn yellow as they age. Now remember, there was a yellow flower which is now shriveled up and died. It's just to the left there, Senzo. So there it is, there on the left of your frame. And that's what, unfortunately, our yellow flower that we had the other day now looks like. So that's shriveled up and is finished. But isn't that nice to see a flower after this dreariness and the rain that we've had? That's what we're going to start seeing a lot of. There's going to be a lot of green and vibrance and flowers that are going to come out, and it's all going to be very spectacular. And the best thing about it is we get every single shade of green that you can imagine coming off of these plants, and then coupled with bright flowers like that, the whole landscape takes on a completely different atmosphere and tone, and it's going to be wonderful to see that taking place over the next few days and weeks. Although I will be on leave, so I'm pretty sure by the time I come back it's going to look a lot different to now when I leave. Right, Senzo, no leopard at Treehouse that I can see. What we're going to do is we're going to carry on. We're going to come back past Treehouse Dam a little bit later. As we saw with Ali the other night, I suppose it was a lot warmer, but she had Shadow and Cub and Sticks and Hosana all around her, but most of them, well, especially the Sticks, were drinking late in the afternoon. So we're going to try and see if we can come back past here in the evening, and maybe, just maybe, a leopard has decided to make an appearance late in the afternoon. Now, while I do that, Ali has found something that I would imagine any one of our leopards would love to be chasing around right now.
Yes, they would, but Tristan, these are the future mothers, so no chasing around just as yet. We are in the presence of a breeding herd of Impala, Seems like there might be just one male around. I think I saw him earlier, but maybe he's gone off somewhere. And all of these beautiful girls, of course, they've gone where we cannot see them nicely, but it's very warm for them there. Except for this one, that's still being very nice. Now, if you look at their stomach, or most of their stomach, we are hoping that the majority of these girls are actually pregnant. So maybe, I don't know if this has been done already, but just the same way that we had the rain challenge, maybe we should start with the when are the woodlands coming back and when are the impalas dropping their babies. Maybe we should sit around and just discuss which dates are whose. I'm going to put my baby impalas around about the 23rd of October. I'm going to be super optimistic because I want them to start dropping soon, because I love it when there's tiny little impalas running all around, and I still have yet to see an impala being born. I'm always either too early or just too late, and just see them wobbling and full of gooey stuff on top of them, but just never at the right time. So hopefully this year will be the right year. Now, wonder, maybe Tristan will beat us in the Impala challenge as well, because he definitely got it last year. What do you say, VM? Do you want to join in the Impala challenge?
10 November.
10 of November. Okay, I say 23rd of October. VM says 10th of November. And then, what do the girls in FC say? Megan, any thoughts? If you guys want to join in and let us know when you think that the Impalas will start dropping their babies, send us a comment on hashtag Safari Live, and that way we can sort of start making teams. Tristan says the same as every year, the 6th of November, but he's just being cheeky because that's his birthday. So he can't have all the baby impalas for his birthday. That's just very greedy of him. But we'll see. If they do drop on the 6th of November, then I'm going to laugh, and whatever it is that he says or claims from now on, I'm just going to say okay. Because to get the rain right, maybe this is his lucky year. Actually, maybe we should just make a team effort and tell Tristan to go play the lottery for all of us. I think we're missing out on an opportunity here, guys. We've come now onto the new road, because VM hasn't been on the new road, and we were hoping to maybe see any signs of shadow, but nothing around here. I don't know if she's been spotted in one of the other lodges, or one of the other reserves, I should say. But so far, no luck. I think those impala are the first creatures that we've encountered in quite a while. Squirrels. All spotted, VM. I think, obviously, I parked you right where the branches are. It's just gone down to the bottom there. Still sticking out. On one of the knobs of the marula. Yeah, of course I would park you in the wrong spot. Just let me try and go slightly forward. Hopefully it will not move, because then it will be quite a nice view. No? Okay. Definitely. No. Okay. There it goes. You guys can see it all very beautiful. Whoop! And there it's gone. Now, we know where you live, little squirrel, so there is no escaping us. They've chosen this beautiful marula, and they are using now one of the holes in there just to live. And I'm sure they're all keeping warm in there, just like the majority of the animals are. So the ones that are lucky and can, they will be retreating in the holes, or burrowing, or going back into the termite mounds, because the weather is very chilly today. So likely that's why they've retreated in there. Also the noises of the car, they are sometimes skittish animals. So I think maybe they're just not feeling too confident with the weather today. So we're going to leave them and carry on. Hopefully we'll be surprised with something nice at the end of this road. It'll be like the rainbow, either a pot of gold, hopefully in the form of spots, but we'll see. Still a bit of the road left, and we might get lucky. Talti says 9th of November for the impalas, and Joe says the 16th of October. Alright, I think 16th of October is a little bit too early, but I like it that there's somebody with a lot more optimism than me. So hopefully, October, here we go this year. It's such a good event to wait for them, and we're actually discussing in camp the other day how exciting it is that we've started hearing the carmine bee eaters and the woodlands all the way in the Mara, so we know that they're on their way back. We just want them to get here already. But I think maybe we'll just give it a little bit more time for the woodlands. Whoop. Now, it's a bit bumpy on this road, and I just want to look around, because we do know that Shadow loves going onto the termite mounds and hiding behind them. Gobus, you're saying that the clouds look very ominous. You have no idea. Let's have a look. Look at this. It's like a perfect thick cover. There was as I think it was Asterix and Obelix that used to say that the sky is gonna fall on our heads. If there's a day where it looks like it, definitely today. But this is the typical summer view of South Africa. So as wonderful as it is, we still get those very hot days, but then for a few days at a time we get this type of weather, which is nice and refreshing every now and again. But I think I'm starting to freeze, so I wouldn't mind to get a little bit of sunshine just in between. That is a very beautiful view. I think that is a typical view of the summertime. Just as we get those beautiful sunsets, we get a bit of the road, we get the marula tree, and then of course those beautiful clouds in the back. Just as long as they hold on and they don't rain upon us, I think everything will be fine. I think it might rain a little bit later today, but for now everything seems to be holding, and everything to the north of us is not looking as dark as this is. The south is looking definitely a lot darker, and perhaps there'll be a little bit of rain coming. Hopefully not for the time being, because I'm already wearing all of my jerseys, and if they get wet then it's going to be a problem to go and drive tomorrow morning. Maybe I'm gonna have to start using the blankets and shuka myself up like Brent and James have done in the Mara, just with the game drive blankets. Now, I'm looking at all these termite mounds, wondering where the spots are. Come girls, be nice. Come say hello. Seems like not too much. I mean, it would be a very good day for all the cats to move around, lions and leopards. But I have a strong feeling that a lot of them, especially the cats, managed to make kills yesterday, because on stormy weather they tend to have a bit of a more of a success rate. Oh, it seems like Tristan has found something small to show everyone, so let's go and find out what it is.
We have indeed. So we've come across a murder scene, unfortunately, and there is feathers strewn all over the place. So we've got a situation where there's just grey feathers everywhere. So I think a bird of prey must have grabbed something in this general vicinity and sat on this fallen over tree and plucked it. You can see, look at how many feathers are all over the ground. I went to investigate to see if there was any sign of a carcass there, but nothing. There's just feathers everywhere. So whatever it was sat right there and plucked this poor bird until there was nothing left. And I'm not 100% sure on what the bird is. I've got feathers for it, so it's a brown coloration. So my initial thought was maybe something like a francolin, something maybe like a crested francolin or along those lines. You can see it's got a bit of that creamy colored edge to it, so I think it could be one of them. Difficult to say though. My first thought when I initially saw it was that it could be a dove, and it could have been maybe something like a Cape turtle dove, or because most of the feathers are quite grey in coloration. But at the end of the day, this feather is not something that we would see on a dove very often. This is more francolin-like, and given the amount of feathers, it must have been fairly large. So some sort of bird of prey got hold of it, whether it was a goshawk, a sparrowhawk, a Wahlberg's eagle, very difficult to say. Given where it is and the perch that it was on and the small broken tree that it is, I would imagine it must have been a smaller bird of prey, so something like one of the accipiters, which is the sparrowhawks or goshawks or those kind of birds. So I think that's what it is. But unfortunately, this bird has met its end, so we're going to let that fly. Oopsie, off it goes. One last flight for those feathers as we then carry on and see if there's not something lurking at Janet Jackson's hole, because I'm hoping with this horrible weather that we've got, as you can see in front of me, it is very pleasant. Lots of rain coming our way at some point, hopefully not anytime soon. So we're going to try and avoid that big dark black cloud that is directly in front of me and start turning more to the east. But I believe that Jamie is still exploring the Mara and is out and about, and I believe that she was on a quest to try and find some lions, and I think she's been successful.
I'm hoping something very similar for our night ahead. Generally speaking, by this time of the evening, we can usually tell if we're going to spend most of our time wrapped up with our vehicle all closed up and the sides down and the tarpaulin over the top of us, just in case the rain does settle in. But I think we're going to be okay tonight. Though we have relocated our sausage tree pride. I got to the point where I was starting to feel a little bit paranoid that they were going to get up and move away. So we've moved back to them now as it starts to get cool. And I think potentially we've arrived at a good time. The one lioness is up and looking at a herd of zebra that is slowly wandering unsuspectingly in this direction. One thing that is in the zebra's favour is the fact that there's also a giraffe moving with them. And giraffe is more likely to spot these lions in this lugger. Height advantage is a serious thing out here. And there we go. The zebra probably about 100 yards or so away. So still a fair distance. Still too close for these lions. And as yet, they're not showing any interest in them, apart from that one lioness. And one little cub. Last time I sat with them all night, the little cubs were actually stalking the zebras themselves. They were so hungry. That was our final TV show installment for that series. Of course. Finale coming up in 2 days. Life has changed so dramatically for these cats in the last few weeks. Migration was here, it was teeming with food. There are wildebeest skeletons. There's wildebeest skeletons everywhere. There are lots of wildebeest skeletons scattered about the place. Now they have to work a little harder. Sneak up on the zebras. But for now, I think they're quite relaxed. All 4 cubs are here. It is a little bit of a tricky position, so we can't really see them. Most of them are well and truly flat cat. And I haven't had a good chance to see, because of the grass and the way that they're lying, I haven't had a chance to see just how hungry they are. Where did you lot disappear to last night? You made life very difficult. I'll see next. Sorry, I'm going to have to ask Rebecca to repeat that question because I was going to do it sneakily, but I missed the what zebras can do. Could zebras sense lions by distance? How far? Oh, can they work out how far away they are? Am I understanding that correctly? I'm sorry. I think I'm being a little bit slow here. Zebras certainly have a fantastic sense of smell and they have a fantastic sense of hearing. And there is a possibility, because the wind is blowing straight towards them, which is why I think they're a little bit nervous, there is a distinct possibility that they could smell these lions. The wind is blowing in their favor. In the zebra's favor, I mean. So yes, they could smell them. Would they be able to work out exactly where the lions are or exactly how far away they are? I don't think they'd be able to get a fully accurate read on the distance, but they have attracted the interest of little cub over there. Yes, one day you'll be big enough to hunt them, but not yet. Hey, you tree hugger. So interested in what's going on. So they could hear them. If they hear them, then they would get an accurate read on the distance. If they found the smell overpowering, then they'd probably know that the lions are quite close. But I don't think they could exactly gauge. Remember that the animals out here that are prey for things like lions or leopards or cheetah, their eyesight is not that bad. Yes, it's not the most powerful of their senses, and yes, they rely on hearing and smell as well. But they really do have very, very good eyesight as well. They're very geared towards movement. A little bit of love from cub to mum. It's one of the older cubs. Looks like a little boy. It's got the fluffiness around the cheek and the top of the head. Yes, that could be dinner tonight. The cubs are hungry, or at least that cub's hungry. Oh, there's Cassie. Her name is not officially Cassie. It's just the little pale cub of the Sausage Tree Pride. I started calling her Cassie because of Casper. But that is not an official name. You're going to do exactly the same thing. Hey, girl. Sweet little lion cub. The smallest of the 4 of them. And definitely the lightest in colour. And you can really see it on a day like today when the light is the way that it is. Slightly watery, shining through the clouds. You can really see that colour difference. There she is. Look at that. She's not a white lion. She's not a leucistic lion. But she is a very pale one. There we go. Settled down quite comfortably. We're going to play the patience game with our sausage tree pride, potentially for the rest of the night. Let's go and find out if Ali's had any luck in tracking a different type of cat.
Well, seems like we're all playing the patience game today. Jamie's patiently waiting for the lions to get up to something. We are patiently waiting to find a sign of an animal that's alive. It seems like it's been quite quiet, and I think, like Kobus was saying, the ominous clouds are scaring the animals a little bit. So, other than that herd of Impala we had a little while earlier, or a little while ago, we haven't really seen anything else. And also some of the roads haven't been driven, but there are no fresh tracks for any potential cats or anything around. So I think we're gonna try and go to Twin Dams and see what's around there. Lauren from Illinois, you're wondering what made me decide to come to Africa and become a guide. Well, it was all really by accident or fate. I'm not too sure which one it was. I came to volunteer, and my initial plan was just to stay for a few months while I got this experience out of my system, because ever since I can remember, I had always wanted to come to Africa and see the wildlife up close and see elephants and lions and leopards and, well, all sorts of different creatures. So I came here and I just completely fell in love with the environment and everything else. So I started working in a wildlife rehabilitation center, and then after that, obviously by meeting friends or making new friends and hearing about all the different jobs that you can do in South Africa close to wildlife, then I found out that guiding was an option. So Lion Sands back then was offering a training course. It was 6 months training course, and then they didn't used to offer a placement then. It was just a training course, and then I went and did it there, and I think it's the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. I just absolutely loved every second of it, learning about the plants and the trees and the tracks, and it just became a way of life almost. And it's so addictive that after you've been contaminated by the guiding or the living in the bush bug, you don't really want to go back. So I've stayed here ever since. So I've been pretty lucky. Now, nope, Janet is not at home, so we shall carry on. So that was pretty much what got me all the way into South Africa. Now I've enjoyed it, and I've met some wonderful people, and now I'm trying this experience with Safari Live, which is wonderful in the way that it's quite a steep learning curve, because everything that you know, there's always, because there are so many viewers, and that is a fantastic thing. We're such a large community that even when you're looking at something, ooh, it's a squirrel alarming, there will be somebody that will think of a question or of something that you've never seen before, and that'll make you learn something else. And that is absolutely the part that I love about it. Now, I want to try and find out where the squirrel is, because it's in the street. Squirrel. Squirrel, where are you? Can you see the squirrel? Let's try going a little bit forward. Oh, maybe it's at the eagle that's flying there somewhere in the distance. I think that's maybe what the squirrel was alarming at. What are you? You look like a Wahlbergs, I'm going to say, hopefully. But it's making me dizzy seeing it flying like that. Probably should grab my binos like a real guide. Now, it's been quite interesting in terms of raptors lately, at all the different creatures that we've seen flying around. Yeah, I'm going to go with Wahlberg's eagle just because of the tail. Woo! There's a few drops that I'm feeling on me. Alright, Rain. Off you go. Can you see the squirrel now? Naughty squirrel. Where are you looking at? So you are not looking at... You were not looking at the eagle. What got your eye? Perhaps maybe there was a snake, but I can't see anything slithering around on the ground. And she's gone dead quiet. What's wrong, squirrel? What is stressing you out? Do tell. Is it the rain? Are you upset about the rain? And off it's gone. I see why Tristan was heading away from this area, because the rain caught him. He failed to mention that I was going to get rained upon. Right, we're still going to carry on onto Twin Dam, see what's around that area. Hopefully get another look of the eagle that's flying around. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a Wahlberg's eagle, but I get a little bit dizzy when they go flying around like this. Oh, so Tristan's around Twin Dams too. Interesting. Let's go over to him And it seems like he had 2 red-billed hornbills, so let's go over and maybe we'll bump into him at Twin Dams. You never know.
Well, we did have 2 red-billed hornbills that were feeding gleefully on termites, and then all of a sudden they moved. But there is one sitting just on the tree here now for us, and is looking rather fat and puffy, and it was going to town on termites, so I'm not surprised if it is extremely full at the moment. It's also because it's quite cold that they're all puffed up like this and are trying to sort of stay a little bit warm. But it is one happy hornbill, I would imagine, after the feast it just had. We watched them for quite some time. Now it's cleaning its beak, and I would be doing the same if I had just been digging around in elephant dung for termites. I'd also be cleaning myself up and making sure that I don't have bits of elephant dung all over my beak. Yes, we're talking about you. Almost looks like a mad scientist when it's looking at us like that, just kind of analyzing what's going on. I don't know where the second one went and what happened to it, but it was also around here somewhere. I think it's maybe flown off since then. But checked Twin Dams, really looked around nicely and tried to have a look and see if there isn't any sign of a leopard, but no tracks that I can see anywhere. The ground is so hard that even the tracks for a hippo that meandered here last night are faint, so it would be difficult. Look at that, having a little dust bath. That's cool. So you'll find birds do this regularly. They keep their feathers in good condition, also help to control parasites, exfoliate the skin, get rid of any dead skin cells. So that was quite cool to see. Nice one. Now what have you found? Now it's digging. You can see how well this beak works. It is amazing to watch these beaks go to town at the base of trees, and maybe there was a little insect that was there that it thought it could get to, but is now decided, nope, I'm going to carry on and move off. So there they go, hopping around, and they're rooting around in all the dung and varying holes that are in this area. Sinak, you're wondering if they're identified by their beaks. Well, not all of the hornbills, just 2 of them are identified by their beaks. So you've got the red-billed hornbill, this one, which, as you can see, has got a red beak, and then the yellow-billed has got a yellow beak, and then the rest have got different names. So ground hornbill is different, like Ali saw earlier. That's a bird that spends a lot of time on the ground, hence its name, ground hornbill. And then you've got trumpeter hornbills, because they trumpet and make quite a bit of noise. Silvery-cheeked hornbills, because they have a silver cheek, and then grey hornbills, because they're grey, and vice versa. There's a whole bunch of different names for them, but they've all got names for different things. It's just the yellow-billed and the red-billed that have the name after their beak that we see in this particular area. Some of them are named also after birders like Bradfields and the various other hornbill species that occur in southern Africa. So it's more just to do with just these 2 that their name is red-billed and yellow-billed, and it's also because those 2 are the most similar out of all of them that occur in this section. They occur in the same areas together, and so it was easy just to separate them by using red-billed and yellow-billed. And you can see how amazing their beak is to dig and to be able to root around for varying insects. Right, we're going to start making our way northwards back towards the Djuma via the Mulawati, because, well, there's a massive storm on its way and I don't want to get too wet, so we're going to try and head back and see if we can maybe be close enough that if it does rain we can get roof covers or rain covers. And while we do that, let's go across to Ali, who I believe has got her Wilburg's eagle, and I'm sure that's what the squirrels were alarm calling about.
Well, I think this might be another one, perhaps the ones that we saw yesterday at the beginning of the drive, because this seems to be also a bit of a paler Wahlbergs. And I think maybe as Jamie was asking earlier about the different color morphs of raptors, maybe Wahlbergs should win the prize just for confusing us, because they just seem to have all the possible morphs in them and all the possible different colorations. So this one is a bit of a paler one. Being quite unfriendly at the moment. It was facing us a few moments ago, but it's camouflaged. There we go. Hello. Camouflaging quite well against the apple leaf in the background. Now I think this is, you can appreciate now why perhaps we haven't seen as many animals. I think the wind and just the general temperature is upsetting a lot of them, because look at that. That's what we're facing, and that's probably why Tristan wants to start heading off back to the camp. Now, it seems like most of the clouds are coming from the southwestern side, and they're pushing a little bit towards home. But if we look straight in front of us, then it doesn't look as bad, or at least it doesn't look as dark. It's still covered, but I think there's still hope, so I am holding on to the hope that we're not going to get rained upon this afternoon and that we're going to be able to carry on looking for all sorts of creatures. Now, the Wahlberg's eagle is pretty happy perching all the way over there. I don't think it's going to get up too much. Likely it's considering as to where to go should the rain start falling once more. And funny enough, it was only its pale head that gave it away as we were driving past this particular area. It just stood up against that background. I was hoping that we were going to find Shangile probably perched up on one of the branches of the marulas all the way in the distance, but seems like no luck just of yet. Seems like today is a day for raptors and very tiny, mean little things. So let's carry on looking. Sure, we'll be able to find something else around here. Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam are normally very good areas to start looking for all sorts of creatures, and I think Tristan's gonna head around the Molawati. That's been his plan the whole day, so hopefully he'll get something around there, because he just said to me he had that leopardy feeling, as he does. But his leopardy feeling was talking to him about Tamba, so fingers crossed Tristan will find Tamba, because if there's somebody that Tamba will come to, is to Tristan. Nothing there. Oh my goodness. Seems like Scott all the way in the Mara is going to join us as well, and it seems like he's got some of the beautiful cats that we don't get to see all that often. So I'm sure it would be wonderful to go and have a look.
Themselves. They've left their mother behind them. Oh, the wildebeest has seen them. That's for certain. You may have seen the one wildebeest shake his head in disgust. So, that doesn't mean that it's over for these cheetah, because cheetah are incredibly quick, the fastest mammal on the planet. They can rely on catching up on their prey, so they do not need to ambush their prey as well as the lion and leopard. Joyanne, you would like to know if this is a coalition that you know? Well, it's not really a coalition. They're still just two young boys, like I say, hanging out with their mother. And some of you would have met them before. We have spent time with them. But they will form a coalition in all likelihood. They could split up. It's impossible to say. But in the next few months, we'll get a very good idea of what exactly these cheetah are going to get up to. Now, it's always a bit tricky working out what to do. We are enjoying the sighting with other vehicles, so I'm not sure whether to move or to stay. The other thing to bear in mind is that there is another cheetah that could start chasing these wildebeest and zebra. I think we're going to need to move forward just a little bit. Now, we've put on a camera with a long lens to try and make sure we don't get left in the dust with these cheetah hunting, so it makes it close to impossible for Jandre to focus on me with this big bazooka. Oh, there we go. Let's see if we can find this cheetah now. Now, I think this is kind of playful, inquisitive, learning behavior that these young male cheetah are displaying. How awesome is this? Great work, Jandre. And we've got a nice low angle here. Are we going to keep up with it? Looks like we're going to be able to keep an eye on him. Here he goes. Now, I haven't seen any very young wildebeest in this herd, so I don't know who he's going to take down, but this is incredible. He's literally running around. They could turn on him and start chasing him. So let's be ready for that to happen. Zebra and wildebeest will chase cheetah, and especially if they kind of work out that he is a youngster that's not as bold and confident as he could be, the tables could turn quite quickly. So now there's wildebeest and zebra split up on either side of him. There's some to the right behind him and some to the left in front of him. And once they, like I say, get a better idea of what they're up against, they could well all join forces and turn this cheetah around and chase him off. That was such an awesome view, and I'm so glad we got to share that beautiful moment with you. Cheetah sprinting between the wildebeest. Proud cat mama, you'd like to know how fast exactly can these cheetah move, and up to around 60 miles an hour, possibly just upwards of there. There was initially kind of a belief that they could move a little bit faster than that, up to about 70 miles an hour, but I've been told that that has actually been disproved, and it's closer to around 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. Now, this cheetah's being clever. I mean, it's just taking its time trying to find a weakness, but I haven't found or seen any good opportunities for it, but hopefully he'll prove me wrong. Here he goes, straight towards us. How incredible is this? Come on, boy. Who are you chasing? Oh, the other cheetah's going, Jean-Andre. Left, left, left. Left. On the wildebeest, on the wildebeest. Into the valley. It's dropped into the valley at about 10 o'clock, I think. Well done. I'm trying to keep an eye. The other cheetah's still stationary. Whew. My heart is racing, as I'm sure are a lot of yours. Hard to keep track of all this incredible action unfolding. Now I wonder where that other cheetah has gone. It's possibly just stopped in that small kind of riverbed, or lugga as they call them in Kenya. I can see him, Jean, just beyond the you're on the back on the other one. I can see the other one. It's stationary just in the lugga. Stay where you are on this one. It's a better visual. I can hardly see the other one, but it has stopped chasing. Whew. That was so cool. Look at it. I think it just kind of let off a snarl of disgust there, having missed, going, oh, come on. And Kimberly, you would like to know if they are both having fun and learning, and I think exactly. They are young, they are trying to hunt themselves, and, learning along the way. I think it is fun for them. I think they do get a sense of enjoyment and satisfaction unleashing their speed and chasing around possible prey. And the great thing is, there weren't any good opportunities for them. Like, I was very surprised that they were actually going for these larger prey items with no small members in the herd. Chandra, let's take a look at the other. There's another cheetah just beyond the termite mound at about 9-10 o'clock. It's in the grass coming towards this one at quite high speed. A little bit to the right. There's another one in front, but that's all good. There's all three now that have joined up. The mother and the two cubs are going to all be together shortly. Well, I shouldn't say cubs, I should say sub-adults. They're about 1.5 years of age, these young boys. Hi, Cassie, you'd like to know how long will these cheetah now have to recharge or catch their breath before chasing their next prey? And it's hard to be certain. I guess young cheetah will be, more energetic, and each chase will vary in terms of the energy expended. In this case, I don't think they were really at full tilt for much. It was more cheetah jogging that we were kind of bearing witness to. So I don't think it'll take them too long to catch their breath, and it's a cool afternoon, so that will also play into the equation. If it was much hotter, it would obviously cause them to expend more energy to cool off. Now, who's who? Those are the two boys. You can see they've both got little mohawks glowing in the afternoon sunlight. Their mother, there were three of them, their mother is somewhere to the left of them, I think, just a little bit. Hi, James. You want to know exactly how far away she is? I think they were all in one spot now. I'm losing track because I'm looking down at the monitor to see what okay, so she is very close to where they are. Jean-Andre said she's just flattened herself down in the grass over there. Now, you guys might hear some zebra. I was hoping to show you them as they run around alarm calling, but they've disappeared into a little riverbed. But you may well have heard that audio, a beautiful sound. Oh, there we go. Now there's all three. Now you can see that Mom's in front and the two boys are at the back, and as I said, they still have those mohawks that are glistening in the afternoon sunlight. What a beautiful scene.
How lucky must it be to see those cheetah hunts? I'm so excited. I want to go and replay them now and see them. Now, our search for spotted creatures isn't going all that well. We did see a leopard orchid, and we know that Liam's getting desperate when he spots a leopard orchid, and he's just like, spots! So we're trying out all the unusual places for all the cats, see if maybe we can see anything else around here, just pretty much anything with spots or anything that's moving. I think at this point I will settle with anything with a heartbeat. Even the beautiful birds of prey. Perhaps maybe no Wahlberg's eagles, because they have been quite confusing lately. But we'll see what else is around here. Now, of course, we will spot another. Ooh, but is that a marshal? Ooh. Let me just go a little bit back. I just see a lot of white. That's why I'm saying marshal. And I do know that the road goes around. So you see this big marula? There we go. Yes, indeed, a marshal eagle. Well, hello. Marshal. No. Eagle 92. Hang on a second. I feel like we might be able to go a little bit around. Hello, beautiful. How are you doing? Now it seems like we've been quite lucky with the eagles in general, because obviously they're not flying because the wind is a little bit too much for all of them. So luckily they've been sticking around in on top of trees and so on, which is quite good news for us. I'm very happy that we are able to see them around here, and I think it was quite unexpected to get so lucky with all the different birds of prey this afternoon. Now, if you look at that little white bowl that's sticking out of its chest, that is its scrub, and normally they store food in there to digest it later after they've been feeding for a while. So I don't think it's got a kid. It does. Is that hanging thing a kill? It is, and I'm going to say that it looks like the head of a duiker. Or a steenbok. You murderer. Now, this is a proper crime scene. The road does go around, so we're going to leave it temporarily for about 2 minutes or so, and we're going to go around, see if maybe we can have a bit of a closer look and find out what it is that it's eating. Now, this is the biggest eagle that we get in South Africa, and it's known for hunting small antelope, especially monitor lizards. They particularly specialize in monitor lizards. And, well, when the Impala lambs are around, they also like them, as well as the tawny eagles and some other eagles around. But let's just go around, because it's really next to the road. David, you're wondering if eagles of different species ever come into conflict. Yes, they can. Once resources are scarce, or if somebody's got a kill and somebody else wants to come and steal it, then that does happen. Normally, most eagles, though, will only be territorial with eagles of the same species. Now, we are approaching... this is going to be a tough one. Let's see. I think maybe around this particular area will be a little bit better. Yep. Is that good? Now we can definitely see. It's a duiker. It's a baby duiker that this martial eagle has got. Well, this is just quite a show of strength for this particular eagle to be able to bring down an duiker. Oh, you're wondering how they managed to bring down duikers. Well, this is quite a big eagle. It is the biggest eagle, and just checking here on the book, it says that they can reach about 85 centimeters in length. So very, very big. And about, if they're very big, about 5 kilograms. So that's quite a sized bird. And the duiker that we're looking at, it seems to be still a very young duiker. Definitely not a fully grown one, just judging by the size of its head. But I'm so impressed. This is not a common sight. This is not something that we see often. And this is why we often say that in stormy weather, the antelope and prey species don't fare all that well. I mean, we've gone around and we've seen already 2 different birds of prey with their kills stashed up out of a tree. So there's there's actually a lot to believe that perhaps leopards are doing the exact same thing. Ooh, what was that? All right. Are you going to start feeding? This is quite an interesting sighting. It's always funny how all of these eagles surprise us with all different things. Oh yeah, I was so dumb I didn't realize it dropped the kill. I was looking away in the distance. Well, it'll be very nice if it went all the way down and brought it back up. I think it's stressing now. Yeah, you dropped it. What you gonna do now? I think there was still a little bit of meat left, but probably considering its options, should I go down and try and get it and put it back up here? As you see, they're also very clever. They know where to put it to try and get it away from some of the other predators, particularly bigger predators, like a hyena, clearly, or perhaps even, I'm sure a serval would give a martial eagle a bit of its run, or jackals, or leopards, and then, well, of course, if lions were to come across, pretty sure they would try to get it from the eagle itself. Now, please do go down and get it. That'll be very interesting to watch. Definitely considering, and you see that it's upset. It keeps looking down, looking around. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Should I go down and get it, or should I just leave it? Very tough decision-making process. No? Are you not going down? Sorry guys, I am being called on the radio, so I'm just going to answer for a second. Standing by. I'm on Philemon, Scotland, Treehouse Dam Junction. Copy, thank you. Alright, are you going to go down? Please do go down. Come on, look at those beautiful eyes. And it's such a powerful creature, and you can see standing all the talons, very, very sharp talons. I think we're going to give it a little bit of a, we're going to wait. We're going to give it a bit of a chance, see if perhaps it does go down and get the kill back up. Because it'll be quite interesting if it does, and obviously we want to see how this is going to play out and how this is going to end. But while we wait for this wonderful bird of prey to decide as to what it wants to do, we're going to send you guys across to the Mara with Jamie and some very fluffy little lion cubs.
That is a fascinating sighting with Ali, and I hope that she spends a bit more time there. We've also had... Shh, David. She's throwing around in the back of the car there. We've also had a really fascinating sighting. One of the cubs climbed up a tree and pulled a stick down, and now the rest of them kind of want it, but they can't quite get it. But I don't think... Dave, do you think you've ever seen a lion look so pleased with itself? No. I don't think I've ever seen a lion look as pleased with itself as that one did. It was so proud of itself. It was high. It had to climb up really high to go and get that stick. And one's managed to get the other end. I found a stick of my own. I'm going to go over here with my stick away from your stick because it's better than the stick. While Mum and Aunt are fast asleep. Cheese potatoes, potato. No, vultures, no. Vultures are not really hunting birds. They scavenge, they don't really attack smaller creatures in the way that martial eagles might. But yes, a martial eagle like the one that you saw with Ali, or one of the larger eagle species, perhaps a crowned eagle in certain areas, they can and do attack cubs. They attack wild dog pups, leopard cubs, lion cubs. If they are small and out in the open without the adults to guard them, it is an unusual but a possible sighting that one could witness. It does happen. It is unusual though. But yes, a tiny lion cub. These lion cubs are now past that age where they are vulnerable to an eagle. When I first brought Lexi, my Weimaraner, into the bush, when she was a tiny puppy, I spent the first few weeks of the dog's life paranoid, absolutely paranoid that an eagle was going to come and swoop down and take her. And it does happen. I mean, people lose... when she was little, obviously she grew past the size of where she would be threatened by an eagle, but people do lose dogs, little dogs, on a relatively regular basis in South Africa especially, to things like eagles, martial eagles, crowned eagles. They are responsible for the loss of many a beloved family pet, and in the wild, the odd cub as well. This one didn't get a stick. Not very happy with life. You could go and climb and get one if you wanted to. However, really, really lovely question coming through from Michelle, who is a 13-year-old in Johannesburg and nearly 14 years old. And Michelle is right at that point in her life where she's got to choose her school subjects right up until matric. Michelle, you're wondering about which subjects you should take in order to become a field guide, and I hope that you are still watching, because it's actually a really lovely thing to hear that that's something that you want to do. And what you can do is contact Final Control in the way that you have already, and they can put you into contact with me. So I'll be able to give you a little bit of further advice. I'll warn you in advance. I don't have all that much time for correspondence, but I would really love to help you along if that is what you decide to do. So, subjects, I think most obviously is biology. Biology will really help you, but none of these subjects... Just looking to see what they're looking at. Sorry. None of these subjects are absolutely essential, so there's a huge degree of flexibility when becoming a field guide. Biology will help you, so will science, especially physics. I've found so many problems have been solved by a little bit of background knowledge of physics to help me do certain things, especially as a relatively small human being, to overcome the odd physics problem in terms of lifting something greater than my own weight into the back of a vehicle. It's useful to have as a method, as a problem-solving method. Languages are always an advantage. So if you... one of the things I regret most deeply about my school career is that I didn't actually do Zulu all the way through to matric or one of those languages, but it would be really very, very helpful for you. However, another language like French or German or Spanish, those sorts of things are really helpful because it gives you that little bit of a one-up, because then you can speak to guests who don't speak English all that well. Let me tell you something very important about becoming a field guide, though. Something that you should know from the very beginning is that if you are really keen on becoming a guide specifically, because there's lots of ways to work with the animals out here, there's lots of ways to work in the bush, but if you're interested in becoming a guide, one of the things you must realize is that a lot of that is people-based as well. So although the animals are important, people are too, and your people skills are as well. And having a little bit of general knowledge more than anything else, being able to talk to people about what's happening in their lives, as much as the animals will dominate the conversations that you have. It is very useful to sit around dinner or wherever you happen to be and be able to discuss certain things. So just bear in mind that that is an important aspect of the job as well. You've got to like and enjoy meeting different people from all walks of life and spending quite a lot of time with them. But if you think that that's for you, I'd love to give you more advice. I grew up in Johannesburg as well. I know all about it. Feel free to to get hold of me. Okay, all right. On that note, I will be seeing you, hopefully, periodically throughout the evening. Let's send you back across to Ali with her big bird of prey and probably its kill.
Well, its kill not quite yet, so it's flown down onto a lower hanging branch and it's still carried on looking down to the bottom exactly where it dropped the kill. So it's definitely a bit of an intention of going down there and trying to get it, but it hasn't decided to fly down and then go all the way back up. I think it takes a little bit of consideration of starting to go down there, and probably you're going to have to do it quite quick, Eagle, because it's starting to rain quite a bit now. So you don't really want to have wet diker, do you? Keeps checking in every direction, but if you can, just have a look at the talons. You'll see those claws, how sharp they are when it moves around, and you can see it with a clear background. Very sharp claws, lethal, and that's exactly what it uses to bring down its prey. Imagine 5 kilograms dive bombing from the sky and then just hitting you pretty much in the neck or around the ribs and then just grabbing you with those sharp talons. That's likely what happened to that poor little diker that's there. That's pretty much become dinner. Oh, you can... Alrighty. Now it's down on the ground. Are you gonna fly up? I think we're all holding our breath. Alright. It's just gone to another tree just further back. But there it is. It's flown away. it's raining quite a bit on us, so we're just gonna start covering certain things up, so that just to make sure that all of our equipment doesn't get wet. Alright, I think we're gonna also head back to camp to try and put, although it seems like it might be passing down a little bit now, but we are seeing our beautiful eagle flew away. How amazing was that? Was a very nice sighting. So it is starting to rain quite a bit. You can see on Wendy's dashboard that everything's starting to have a few droplets, so we're gonna head back to try and put our rain covers up and just make sure that all of our valuable stuff doesn't really get wet or damaged by the rain. And hopefully we won't be too wet by the time that we get there. Woo. Alright, while we try and sort out all of our water issues, and Tristan puts on his rain covers and so do we, then we are going to send you guys across to the dam camp for a little while, just so that we are able to sort everything out.
Welcome to the Maasai Mara, everyone, and I'm with two of my favorite kitty cats in the whole of Africa, Amani's daughters. And you can see there's some elephants behind. The sun is dipping below the western horizon. You will not see me today. I'm already on my low light camera. So I've got Craig operating the camera. My name is Brent Smith, and we're with two gorgeous cheetah girls who I think are about to go on their evening hunt. Now, they're not starving, but they could definitely eat. And all the way back in South Africa, my good friends Ali and Tristan are putting down their rain covers, something us in the Mara have had a lot of experience at. And fortunately for us, it looks like we might avoid that situation tonight. And when I say tonight, yes, tonight. We're going to be with these two girls all the way through to tomorrow morning, hopefully, unless they give us the slip. Now, they have been eyeing some Impala in the distance, but no, it looks like we're going to have a little rest for a little bit longer. Remember, #SafariLive if you have any questions for us, and you can do that on Twitter. I would love to hear from you and just about how gorgeous the Mara is this evening. Now, Alana is wondering, do individual cheetahs have different identifying patterns just like leopards? Indeed, they do. However, with cheetah, you don't really look at the spot pattern. You will look at the body spots for a very specific individual spot. So if you look on the female closest to us, Craig, if you can zoom to the base of her tail, right next to her bottom, there we go. You can see there's a slightly bigger spot. That would be quite a unique spot specifically on the tail, because then you've got less spots to look at to try ID her. But yes, they do have unique spot patterns. You can see quite a lot of animals around. There's some, well, the ellies, beyond the ellies, there's some zebra. But the Impala that have been slowly moving closer to where we're sitting are off to the right. So Sinak is wondering, how old are these cheetah? They're still quite young. They're under 2 years old. Where we keep going a little bit right. There we go. There we go. Now, that would be ideal prey for these two. And they're keeping an eye on them. They are quite far away still. But they have been slowly meandering ever so slightly closer to where we're sitting. Oh, one's up. Going for a little stretch. And the female closest to us already did her first stretch and evening ablutions. I think that's probably what the second girl is going to do. Ooh. Stevie says they are such magnificent animals. I'm just going to position. If she keeps moving, she might be heading towards those Impala, and I just want to make sure we're in the right spot, not to interfere with them or the Impala. She's a bit more hungry than her sister. Okay, Rebecca, I think we might need to start getting ready to prep a Facebook. So I'm going to take a leaf out of the Cheetah and Topi book and climb on top of a termite mound to put ourselves in the right spot. There we go, nice and high. So she's off to the left. She still is heading towards the Impala, probably about 150 meters. Let's just see if she's going to continue the stalk, or is she going to give up? There's lots of things that make it quite difficult for Cheetah to hunt, and lots of things might give away her presence. It could be as subtle as a little bird chirping when she walks too close. That might alert the impala and other creatures about that there's a predatory cat on the prowl. At the moment, it doesn't look like she's getting any help from her sister. Her sister hasn't moved a muscle, still on top of the same termite mound. I think she's going to have a snooze. I'd say, ideally, Cheetah will hunt at all times of the day. Not so much at night, but ideally in about 20 minutes, when it's a slightly bit darker, is a cheetah's favorite time to hunt, in the crepuscular hour. So as it gets a little bit darker, and it's sort of that half light between night and day, where cheetah like to take advantage of the fact that some of the prey species thereafter can't see quite as well as they could at the moment. And just see how she disappears there. Well, remember, we're not going to move anywhere, so we're going to sit here and see what these cheetah get up to next. At the moment, they're having a good little snooze, but that could change at any second. And we're going to send you all the way back to Ali, who sounds like she's having an argument with her rain covers.
We did. We have put on the rain covers, but BM has just gotten his hands a little bit dirty, so he was just busy fixing them for a moment, because obviously we don't want to get all the dirt and stuff on top of the camera just as soon as we go out. But we're going to be heading out again and see what else that it is that we can find around there. Seems like the rain has stopped, obviously, after we've put all the rain covers and everything else, as usual. But I think maybe this will be good, because it'll have us all ready to go for tomorrow morning, ready for what may come. Now, it depends where you go. It's not looking as gloomy. It's almost like the rain just needed to come for a little bit. Was a bit of a splash here and there, and now it's all gone. But we are going to try and make our way back to the hyena den, because apparently some of the cubs came out. So I think maybe that sounds like a great plan, is just to go all the way back there and try and get back there. Hopefully we'll be able to see maybe one of those two cubs. There's two new cubs that, well, neither VM and I have gotten to know. So that'll be a very good plan. And then we'll see what else is lurking around in that area. Hopefully something. Ooh, this radio is going funny. I think this is probably the earpiece. There we go. All sounding a lot better. And it's funny how we've been pretty much circling the same area over and over again, and there's been nothing around. But all of a sudden, everything has been coming out. I didn't do it. You're wondering if in the beginning, when you start guiding, if I had any fears of being attacked by animals. Yes, I was terrified of all of them. I thought that every time I'd set foot outside of a vehicle, it was always with buffalo for some reason, that all of the buffalo were going to find me and they were going to trample me to death, and then they were going to get their horns in my stomach. I don't know why. But I was terrified. And of elephants, that you would go walking and then they would sniff you and know exactly where you are. But the good thing is, and after I started doing the course, then you see the sense of it, to be able to guide or to walk in a wilderness areas, and you've got to put so many hours together with a mentor teaching you how to approach dangerous game, and so on and so on. So the more you do it, the more you realize that animals are actually doing their own thing. They don't really care what you do. They're not out to get you. And more often than not, if you bump into them, it's just like, oh, we bumped into each other. And that's pretty much it. seems like, talking about buffalo and big black mean things, Tristan has managed to find some, which is a very rare sighting for Juma. So let's go over to him and find out if we all remember what a buffalo looks like.
Fuck, Ellie. Right, so we can see that they are moving very quickly away from us, and unfortunately with the rain covers and where we are, signal is so difficult that I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to see them, but I'm going to try and position myself that we can try and see them at least a little bit better. Hopefully the signal will stay, I will be able to get into a good position and we won't actually lose sight of them. But it is a small grouping, it's not a very large group of buffalo, it's only a few of them that are here, so it seems as though there is only about 9 or 10 of them, and it's mostly males. It looks like all males and one female that we've got in this particular section. So interesting though, the thing is that the tracks for the Nkuhuma Pride are right behind these buffaloes, so they keep looking back over their shoulder. I wonder if they didn't bump into that pride during the day today and had a situation where they might have been chased already. Hopefully the Nkuhumas haven't grabbed one, because that would mean that they're going to be stationary. I'm hoping that the Nkuhumas are going to be on the tails of these buffalo and following them through into Juma, and we might even see them going after some buffalo tonight. That's what I'm hoping for. It's a long shot, and whether that or not that does happen is anyone's guess. At least some buffalo on Juma, and like I said, it's the first time I've seen buffalo in probably 3 months on Juma, which is quite. When you think about last year, how we had buffalo literally everywhere, no matter where you looked last year. This year, very different situation, and it's why we've had a struggle with lions staying for long periods of time. It's because the buffalo tend to not stick here for long, because of the fact that there are lions every time they do come. So just been no buffalo around. Now, what's interesting is that they've also done a big loop. They're now turning back again the way that they've just come from, which is
seems like Tristan is being chased by the gremlins and not the buffalo. I'm sure he'll be able to sort it out, but I apologize on his behalf. I'm sure he's busy fighting them off, because unfortunately it is in a bit of an area that is gremlin full. So we'll go along for the ride, try this new hyena den. Hopefully they'll be around there, and now they wouldn't have gone back in, because I'm sure there's a lot of tension building up all around the buffalo. But Tristan, I know, will be there just to make sure that we are able to see whatever it is that might or might not happen. And the good thing is that we are also not too far away from the area, so we'll be able to keep an eye out on what the movements are from all the way down here. Temperature has definitely dropped, and we are pretty much close to freezing now, I would say. Perhaps not as much, I'm exaggerating quite a bit. But I'd like to get to those beautiful hyena cubs before they go back in. So Megan says that is 18 and 35 degrees, which is quite cold for this time, considering that we've 65, sorry, I was pretending that I was going to make everyone freeze. 18 degrees Celsius and 65 Fahrenheit, which is still quite cold considering that we've had the temperature rising and being around, I think yesterday or the day before it was 31. So this feels like quite a dip, but I mean, I suppose that was a foolish thing. I was packing all my clothes and packed away all the long sleeve t-shirts and the jerseys and everything else, and I forgot that actually when it does rain in summer it gets very cold. But luckily we've got the protection of the roof, so it should keep us nice and warm, or at least dry, which is quite a bonus. What is that? David, you're wondering if the rain affects the flying of birds. Well, it can, depending on how much rain you get. For example, if you get torrential rain and, you know, lots and lots of rains, well, the birds get soaked. So you'll see that they can't really start flying because they're probably a little bit too heavy, and they need to warm their dry their feathers up and warm up before they start flying around. So often after a very good night of rainfall, or during the day, even just when there's a lot of rain, you will see them perching and looking very gloomy and upset with life, and they'll just stand there shake their feathers and just wait until they're dry, and then they'll start flying around. And I think because of the weather today, because there haven't been so many thermals around, and the thermals are the hot currents of air that a lot of the birds they catch to be able to soar a little bit better. That's why I think we've been seeing so many of the different what you call them, raptor species today, which has been quite nice because we've seen quite a big variety, and probably we've seen some of the toughest ones. Alright, let's go and have a look around here, see what's happening. Hopefully something is happening. We're almost, I can see the mound. Now I am hoping that we'll be able to see what lies underneath. Wendy, you're driving very funny today. Alright, now guys came out on the other side, so maybe let's just go around here, see if perhaps they are here. Maybe we'll be able to see anything. No. Sorry, there's a big mother here right in front of us, so I think she got a bit of a fright, as did I, because I wasn't expecting her to be there. And hello. Now, where are your little ones? Are they inside? I'm not too sure where the little ones are. Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering who the new mom is. Well, as far as I know, and please, if I am wrong, do not fear to correct me, it's Gwen, actually the new mother of the two tiny little cubs. So I haven't been able to see the cubs, not too sure where they are. Maybe they're on the other side, but she is marching off. Now there's another termite mound not too far from here, so I wonder if perhaps she's actually not heading in that direction. It would be quite interesting to find out. We're just going to keep an eye on her and see where it is that she goes. She's still sort of walking around, so I wonder if maybe she's not going to go around and come back onto the mound. Please lead us to them. No? Are you trotting off? I think maybe we just got lucky and we caught her just as she was getting ready to go back again on her nighttime activities. Probably gonna do a little bit of hunting, although she's looking quite full, to be honest, if this is indeed Gwen. I'm still learning in terms of identifying all the different hyenas of the clan that lives around here. But as far as I know, Gwen was the mother of the two new ones that I still haven't been able to see. It's fine, I'm not scared. I'll work this hyena in until we get a glimpse of them. I think she has gone off. I'm gonna turn around, and I know there's another road that goes around and gives us another view of the other side of the den. So hopefully there will be something in there. Now I can't see behind us, so I'm hoping that there's not going to be anything that I might crash into. Hopefully not. Oh, it is indeed quite exciting to know that the den is still active. I think I was starting to wonder if there was actually any activity around here, because everyone's been checking at least once a drive just to find out where they are and if they've been going anywhere, and nobody has seen them. So I think one of the guys did see the adult and I think a glimpse of the little ones, but hopefully we'll see them as well. So let's just go around here. If not, then it's always reassuring finding out that they haven't left this particular den and that their little ones could still be in there. But I think, unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. I think she probably just told them to go in, and as it started raining, they probably did go inside of the den and then stayed in there. There are no views of them here, and the fact that she's gone so gallantly off and just carried on walking around, it's probably a good indication that they are indeed safe and sound in the den, and that's the only reason why she's probably left them and carried on. So, being a good mother overall, cannot blame her really for putting her cubs to bed when it's raining. But oh well. we are going to try and see if maybe we could go around if there's not any other hyena. But while I do that, let's go over to Tristan, who's still hanging out with the buffalo.
Well, I was happy for the buffalo. Unfortunately, the buffalo decided to just do a U-turn all of a sudden and head straight back the way they came. So no more sign of the buffalo. They've crossed back into Buffelshoek and gone. It was a fleeting glimpse at best of them, and I don't know what their story was. I've never seen a buffalo herd do what they did today, and that's just literally turn around in their tracks and go without there being some sort of predator around. But there's no sign of any tracks here. All the tracks that are for the Nkuhuma Pride are quite far north of us still. They haven't come down this section. We certainly haven't seen any signs, so I don't know what's triggered them to turn around. Maybe there's just something about Djuma at the moment that smells funny and they just turn around and carry on going back northwards. But really weird behavior and interesting. So what I've done is I've just come and parked off at Sydney's Dam. The buffalo crossed behind me basically a little bit further to the east, headed northwards up towards, there's another dam straight north of us here called Jacana Dam, and that's where the lions were seen this morning. So what I'm hoping is that if I just sit here for a little bit and listen, maybe we'll get some sort of alarm call, or even the buffalo maybe snorting or bellowing if maybe the lions are around and they get pushed back our side. So it's worth just sitting for a little bit and just taking in the ambience of what's going on. At Sydney Dam itself, there's really not much. There's no sort of sign of anything. It's just a bit of mud that is in there, and that's maybe why the buffaloes have moved past it. They have a situation where there's not really any water for them, but I would have been thought that they might have gone and drank at the small pump pan that's in front of the lodge there. Instead, they seem to just kind of come in and turned around and gone back. What's that walking on the dam wall over there? Do you see to the left of the dam wall? Go, yeah, wait, left. Other way. More, to the left. Now straight in there somewhere. There they are. There's the lions. Woohoo! So how good a call was that? So it was good to just sit and stand by and wait, and there comes the Nkuhuma Pride, and the cat streak at Djuma continues. So sitting at Sydney's Dam, just waiting, being patient, was worth it in the end, and they are slowly but surely just emerging from behind the dam wall. I just saw some movement there, and that's why I was saying to Senzo, just hold on, let's go back and have a little look. And they are coming straight to where the buffalo are. Now the buffalo are north of the road, given, so we might not see much of what goes on, but the lions are heading towards us, and at least we're going to get a view of them as they go and drink. But I don't know if it is the Nkuhuma Pride or not. It's difficult to say. At the moment, it's just 4 at the moment, so I don't know where the 5th one could be. There's some of the cubs coming at the back as well. So hopefully the rest will come. And you can see they're staring off. And if they've got the scent of buffalo, and in weather like this, those buffalo are in big trouble. We know the Nkuhuma Pride really does target buffalo, and they like to go after them. And if they've now picked up the scent and heard the oxpeckers, they know that somewhere here is food, and they're not going to stop. You can see they're skinny, they need a meal, and so we're going to have a situation where these guys are definitely going to go after them. And I would say that it's worthwhile just sticking with them. But how cool is that the Nkuhuma Pride just popped out of nowhere? And it's maybe why these buffalo are so on edge. Maybe they bumped into these lions already and they just don't know where the lions are, and that's why they keep U-turning and changing direction. But at least we've got some cats, which is wonderful news. So I'm super excited that we've managed to find them, and hopefully we're going to end up with a situation where they're going to come towards us. I don't know if they will. They certainly are looking in the direction of the buffalo, but the buffalo have gone too far north. If the buffalo was still standing here and the Nkuhuma Pride had come maybe 10 minutes earlier, they would have spotted those buffalo, and I think we would have seen a situation where they wouldn't have been drinking, but they would have been coming and trying to hunt and trying to come towards these buffalo. But let's see what happens. At least there's some females that are quite alert. You can see the female in front looking around, and it does look like the Nkuhuma Pride, just given that there is, as far as I can see, 5 adult lions, and then there looks like the 6 cubs are all joining as well. So no sign of the little cubs yet, but there is the rest of them at least. So really good to see. I'm super happy. I don't see the female with the wound on her side though, but all the lionesses that came down the hill look to be walking quite fine. So that's also good news. Riti, they'll go as much as about 2 weeks without food. That would be really the most that they would be able to deal with, and the most that they would be able to starve for. But at the end of the day, it also depends on what meal they've had. If they've only eaten an impala between all of these guys, 2 weeks won't be long enough. They'll also still be extremely hungry in sort of 7 days' time. So it just depends what meal they're coming off as to how long they'll last without any food whatsoever. But these guys should be fine. Now, I do need to call this in. Stations I've located, the Nkuhuma Pride at Sydney's Dam. They've just come over the dam wall, if anyone's interested. So, just had to let everybody know quickly. Mike, they're at Sydney's Dam. They've all just come over the dam wall. So, it's the Nkuhuma Pride. So, there we go. At least they can control the lineups now. Sorry, just had to quickly chat to the guys on the radio. At the end of the day, they also are around, and, you know, we need to let them know. And there was some guys that were here with us, and so it is good that we just let everybody else know what's happening. So you can see they're slowly but surely all starting to lie down and starting to rest. There's some of them that have already had something to drink, and the rest will start to kind of just settle down, and hopefully they'll get onto the tracks of these buffalo and start coming southwards a little bit and head towards them. For now, you can see everybody's just looking around and checking what's happening. The best thing for us would be if the buffalo came back out into this clearing and started to move in this general vicinity. So that's what we're going to have to hope for. But how cool is that to see? What a surprise to see them all coming out of the gloominess. Now, of course, if it gets any darker than what it is now, we probably won't see too much of them. Unfortunately, they're very far away at the moment, and so the view of them is not going to be very easy at all. Even with our infrared lights, we're going to struggle a little bit, but at least the lions are around, and it's a glimpse nonetheless. And with the buffalo around, there will be a buffalo that will bellow. It will make a noise at some point, and that's all they're going to hope for. And from there, I would imagine we're going to see them onto it and walking in those directions to go and hunt them. They are very skinny at the moment, so I'm pretty sure a buffalo is what they are after. Hopefully they, like I say, kill it on our side, because it will make life a lot easier for us. Otherwise they're going to be a few days away again, and they've spent so much time to the north lately that it would be nice for them just to come south and spend a bit more time on Djuma over the next little bit. But everyone's settling down. Portakam, you're asking what is the biggest pride that I've ever seen. Well, the biggest pride I've ever seen is the mountain pride up in the Lubombo Mountains, so straight east from here, basically, well, a little bit northeast. And that pride at that stage was 42 lions, so that was a very, very large pride of lions together. They didn't actually spend too much time together in the end, because just that many mouths to feed was very, very difficult, and so everyone had to kind of break apart, and they were going through things like zebra and giraffe pretty much every night. They would have to feed off something like that, otherwise they were battling to sort of sustain themselves, and because of that, they then split and formed, you know, smaller pride units. But basically it was about 42 lions altogether, which was pretty insane to see. So that was the biggest out of any of the prides that I've seen in this area. Here in the Sabi Sands, the biggest pride I've seen was the Southern Pride, which was 23 when I saw them. So 23 lions is the biggest Sabi Sand pride that I've had, and it was quite an amazing pride to see it. And that was without the males. It was just 23 just females and cubs and sub-adults and all the rest together. So not too many of those kind of prides left, unfortunately. Most of the prides we've got here are all fairly small, and the reason for that is because we've had a lot of males come into the area and a lot of changeover in the male lion structure, and that means that a number of cubs and sub-adults have been killed as well as females, and so most of the prides have actually decreased in number rather than increased. And so it's really good to see the Nkuhuma pride like this with the cubs, and the cubs getting of age now where they're almost sub-adults and slowly but surely rebuilding. The other good thing about the Nkuhumas is that most of those cubs are females, as we know. So we know that 5 of the 6 are females, which means that the pride will go from 5 adult lionesses to 10 adult lionesses, which is going to be wonderful. They're all just taking it easy. They're still very alert. None of them are fast asleep, but they are slowly but surely waking up, well, starting to kind of get up and move. You can see that female. Yes, I can see the female one in front. She's starting to stand up and look around, so I wonder if there isn't a situation that something's coming to drink, because you see that female, she's come into a complete stalk mode, so she's flattened her head right down and is facing something. What it is, I'm not quite sure. The buffalo didn't go in that direction, so it's not buffalo. The rest of them are all watching that female in stalk position. The cubs are up, so they are not providing a great foil for her. But let's see, she's definitely gone into a very different posture than what she was earlier. You can see that is flat, 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 and sleep, or almost watching as to what's going on and hoping that something is coming her way. The problem is the rest of them that are all standing up. So the cubs need to look around and need to try and see what this female is doing, but she is watching something for sure. She's in a proper stalk mode. That's not a sleeping mode that she's in. You can see her eyes are open. Unfortunately, it really is getting very dark, so it's difficult for us to see what it is. I can't see anything else around, but maybe there is something still lurking. Hopefully it'll be a buffalo bull that just fell off the back end and is somewhere in that thicket that she's busy watching. But what we're going to do quickly is just try and see if we can't go into infrared. If we have a look in infrared, it might just help us a little bit, because obviously it's getting very dark, and the infrared will just help bring a little bit more light into what's going on, so they stand out a little bit better in that infrared. There we go, that's better. Now the infrared light itself won't reach that far. No matter what we do, it's not going to even get anywhere near that area, and I can promise you now, the light is so bad that I can't even see these lions anymore. It's really difficult to make them out, so I'm hoping that they will move. You can see, look, she's popped her head up a little bit and is watching. So I wonder what's going on. There must be something around. Maybe she spotted something like a nyala or a kudu or something like that that's just moving around close to the camp area, but the cubs are completely oblivious. You see in the background, the cubs are not watching at all, and even the other females haven't seemed to really gotten too interested in what's going on. So I don't quite know what it is at this stage, but there is definitely something that's piquing her interest and allowing her to be quite sort of focused on what's going on. The rest of them are kind of, you can see the rest of the females are fairly relaxed. None of them have put their head down, even though they're watching this female. None of them have gone head down and are looking and are in the same kind of stalk posture as what she is. But she's definitely seen something. What it is, I don't know. Like I say, the rest of them seem to not have noticed at all. Hopefully there will be one that will come out, or something will come out of there, and we'll be able to at least see what is actually going on in that particular section. But it might be better just to reposition ourselves as well. I'm just hesitant because of our signal, but if we go to where they're facing, there's a gap that goes through, then it's much closer than what we are now, so it might be better for us to be able to see them and to see what's going on. Right, while we try and figure out what's going on, let's go back to Ali, who I believe is on the buffalo cut line, and maybe she'll pick up the buffalo that side and we'll have a little bit of a better idea of where they've moved. But in the meantime, we're going to reposition and let's see where Ali's going to head.
Well, we are heading on to Buffalo Dam, so we are quite on the opposite side of where Tristan is. We've decided to come all the way down here, hoping for Impala to be around. But exciting to know that Tristan's cat streak continues with the with all of the Nkahuma pride. Now, with the buffalo being so close by, I'm sure they're going to be trying their luck around, like they must. They have to. It'll be quite interesting to go out tomorrow morning and read the tracks on the floor, on the soil, and try to find out what's been happening. Now, I think it's that time where I should probably try and find my spotlight, but I think I'm going to try and get to Buffalo Dam first, because I can still see with my own two eyes everything that's around here. And this is also perfect weather to wish for a pangolin. Those guys should come out, or should have been a little bit more active throughout the day. And with all this talk about pangolin packs, pangolin trucks, not trangolin, pangolin trucks around, who knows, maybe the hope has returned. And I am hoping, although I think for VM they've become quite common already, for serval all the way in Juma, I'm sure that would be a highlight all the way in the Sabi Sand, because we don't get to see them all that often. Now, where are you, spotted creatures? Unisonic, you're wondering if there are any black leopards where we are? Well, no, they haven't been recorded in the wild in this side of the world, so not really. It would be something very rare. I do think that one of the centers or zoo not too far away from our area, they have managed to get their hands on a black leopard. They claim it is a wild leopard, but the story around it is still a little bit not clear, so we don't really know to believe if it's actually a wild leopard or if it was a leopard that was actually in captivity, because often you will find places that will breed certain species of animals, because they've got I got into the wrong road, because they've got different different genetics, And they try to breed that particular gene, like some of them do with the king cheetah, just to preserve it and make sure it carries on and that it's preserved for other generations. So it's a little bit hard to tell, but no, I haven't ever heard of or seen a black leopard in this area. I think they're a bit more common in India, and I think particularly in Sri Lanka they've been reported lately. And there was a case recently, I do think it was Sri Lanka, of a photograph of two leopards, a normal looking leopard and then a black leopard. And then the black leopards would be also the one that you call panthers, which is just a leopard with a lot of melanin in its skin that makes it go dark. But if you see it with the light shining straight at it, then you will see also the rosettes, but just of a much darker color in general. I think I got a little bit too optimistic here and I went down the wrong road, and I just really wanted to go to Buffelshoek Dam, so I'm gonna have to take another road to get all the way there. It seems like I have forgotten some of my Juma roads today. It's very easy when the weather's like this to get disoriented and just think that you are somewhere, but actually really you are somewhere else. So we are heading towards where we thought we were, but we are not where we thought we were. Almost sounds like a riddle from Alice in Wonderland. Well, this is Wonderland. Would be nice to find again those two bush babies that were together. They were jumping around and looking quite cute. Like I said yesterday, we had one that was jumping about just before them. So we'll see. Paula, you say you would like a pangolin. Well, I would too. Trust me, I've never stopped looking. They're just that difficult to find. If we had, I dream that one day we're going to have a pangolin den we're going to be able to go to and just see them all the time. But unfortunately, very rare to see them in this area, although people like Tristan have been very lucky to have seen many different pangolins in a lifetime. I've only seen 3, but I've seen them all outside of the Sabi Sand, which is quite sad because I want to see now one in the Sabi Sand. Of course I do, just because I haven't seen it here. No, it's quite interesting how after the rain, or just before it started raining, it was very, very quiet at night, and now we're starting to hear a lot of cicadas and little insects calling at night. So definitely summer is on our doorstep, particularly with the rain and the weather like this and all the insects, I think. And I'm actually looking forward to the sun shining again, because it'll be quite pretty to start looking at all the flowers and all the little leaves, and everything else should start taking a beautiful coloration not too long from now. So I've been driving around looking for any sorts of flowers or interesting vegetation, but so far not too many changes. Seems like Tristan has managed to put his IR on, so let's go over to him and find out what the lions have been getting up to.
Well, the lions are just busy milling around. There's some impalas you can see is what they were watching earlier. So a couple impalas that are busy looking in that area. And that's why the lions were so focused and so intent on steering in this direction. Of course, the impalas have seen those lions. You can see how alert they are. The lions are not exactly hiding themselves in any way. And so it's not a situation where the impalas can't see them, that's for sure. Their lions are completely spread out, easily visible. And that's why everybody is just in a state of hiatus at the moment. But quite cool to see these little heads popping out of a bush and the lions watching in the distance. Now, like I said, they are so far at the moment that even in the IR with the light on, we're going to battle a little bit with light. So I do apologize about it being a little on the grainy side, but rather grainy lines than no lines at the end of the day. And we can still see some of them. I'll try and put on a little bit of full light just for sort of the purpose of that. No, it doesn't actually even bother. It's not really worth it, so at least we can still see some of them. Portakam, most certainly these lions would. If they can get hold of 3-4 buffalo, they would take them down. Generally, because it's quite difficult and it's not an easy process, it's normally that they only bring down one. But I have seen prides bring down multiple kills at once. In fact, the Birmingham boys one time had 7 different buffalo at once. So we found the Birmingham boys, each one, at that stage there were 5 of them, each one with their own buffalo meal, and then 2 carcasses just lying there uneaten. So they will go after multiple targets if they can, and they certainly will kill as many as possible, even in one hunt. And obviously you will find sometimes them hunting at separate times and bringing down 2 different animals. There goes the impalas. You can hear them snorting and running off. But they will bring down multiple animals at different times, but they in the same hunt, it is possible to see more than one or two. There they go. It looks like they might be coming towards us. Hopefully that will be nice if they do. No, just lying down again, unfortunately. So there they are, right in the distance. Nikki, you say if only a b-boy would come out behind them. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. The b-boys are all south, so 3 of them are in Mala and 1 of them is on Torchwood. So the chances of a b-boy popping out is very, very slim. If a male lion popped out now, all hell would be breaking loose, because it would mean that it was an intruder male, and those cubs or sub-adults would be in huge danger. But look, she's striding slowly southward, so this is really good news for us, because it means that this lioness is coming down towards the boundary and hopefully straight towards us. Now, whether or not they're going to spend a lot of time here, I'm not quite sure. We're right on this northwestern corner, and it could very well mean that they cut over towards Simbambili, but hopefully they are going to file in straight towards us, and we're going to get a really nice view of the entire pride coming this direction. I'm also very keen to see the lioness with the wound, but when the lions were coming down the bank, it was still light enough for me to see what was going on, and I didn't see one lioness limping, struggling, or moving in any way with sort of any discomfort. She seemed to be walking just fine, and so I have a funny feeling she's just okay. It's just going to be a gaping wound for a while, and she is going to be alright. Remember, the whole pride is looking quite skinny. It's not just one female that is skinny with the wound. Every single one of them looks as though they could do with a better meal. So hopefully that's going to be coming their way shortly, and we are going to end up with a situation where our lions will feed a lot better and find some sort of food item. Now, I've just put on my headlights a little bit just to try and fill the light in for the infrared, just to help it out and try and give it a little bit of extra light. The impalas have run off, so we don't have to worry too much about putting a floodlight on, that they can at least see the cubs a lot better. There we go. You can see them all lying around there. So eyes are glowing in the dark, as beady eyes do, and there's a bit of light on them, and so they're going to hopefully move this way. One lioness is moving in this general direction. She is hopefully going to come down, and what I'm going to imagine is going to happen is they're going to get exactly where those buffalo walked, pick up that scent of those buffalo, and they're going to trail those buffalo. The problem is the buffalo went the wrong way. Had the buffalo been inside Juma, I think we would have been in for an interesting evening, and almost certainly would have found a buffalo killed tomorrow. I'm 100% convinced that these lions are going to get some sort of beefy buffalo over the course of this evening. The conditions are absolutely perfect for lions to hunt buffalo. It is dark, it is cold, it is rainy. It is the best conditions possible when lions want to hunt. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens during the course of the evening. We can see another lioness is now up and moving straight towards us. You'll see her coming from the left side there. There she comes. So it looks like she's also on her way this way, which is great news. So slowly but surely, the lionesses are moving southwards and moving towards our area, which is exactly what we've been wanting. We want them to start coming in this direction and start heading towards the boundary where we can actually view them properly and not at such a long distance. At the moment, it is very far away. It looks as though she might lie down, though. She's kind of got that lying down amble. There we go. Proud Cat Mama, you asking when the lionesses go to hunt, where will they leave the cubs? Well, these sub-adults will be following the pride all the time now. They're not going to be left anywhere. They're now old enough to follow and to learn and to see what goes on, because ultimately they have to watch the females to learn how to hunt buffalo and various other animals. So they will be continuing with the pride, but the smallest little cubs will be left in an area where it is very, very quiet, where it is thick, dense bush, where they can hide very well and stay out of the way of things like lion and hyenas and leopards and all the other predators that could be a threat to small cubs. So they leave them in a drainage section or a termite mound or something like that, and then they'll go and find them once they're done with the hunt, or if they're either successful, they'll go get them and suckle them if they're still very young. If they're old enough to go to the carcass, go and fetch them and bring them there. But at this age, these cubs are mobile with the pride all the time. They don't leave the pride at all. Even when they're hunting, they'll just stand back a little bit and watch the adult females do the job, but they won't actually leave the area and leave the cubs behind anywhere. The cubs will follow as they go along. Right, now I'm going to sit with these lions. They are slowly but surely, some of them coming our direction, and hopefully they'll continue to move southwards. And so while we sit and wait for their arrival towards our section, let's go back to Ali, who's got her spotlight out and is almost at Buffelshoek Dam.
I just got attacked by a branch on the road. That was very scary. So we clearly drove over it in the wrong way, and then it just came and attacked me from the side. So that was an adrenaline rush. We're not too far from Buffelshoek Dam, so hopefully the adrenaline will carry on once we get there. Like we said earlier on, we're hoping for maybe Impala to be around, so that would be quite interesting. Other than that, not too many creatures to report. Nighttime patrol, I must say. Still hoping for a little pangolin to pop out somewhere. Wait, you're asking me what's my favorite nocturnal animal? That's a good question. I like leopards quite a bit, and lions, if they can be considered nocturnal creatures. But if we're looking into smaller things, chameleons are very cool. I really like them. And then also thick-tailed bush babies, but we don't get them, or at least I haven't seen or heard them here. So the thick-tailed bush babies are maybe about 4 or 5 times the size of a lesser bush baby, which are the ones that we often see jumping around in the bushes when we drive at night. And they look like a small teddy bear almost. They're very fluffy and pretty, and they have like a very funny call. Now this would be actually a good spot to maybe see the hippo outside of the water, because I definitely don't see it here, so I wonder where it's gone off to. And Buffelshoek Dam is perhaps still the only place where there are hippos. Besides Cheetah Dam, obviously, because Cheetah Dam is an oasis of hope, almost, with all the water that there is in there. Now, let's see, maybe down here in the drainage line, because this would be a very good spot for any leopards to go in. But it seems like... What is that flying? Nope, that's a bird. I see some eyes, but I don't see them anymore. It's always tough amongst all these branches, but definitely if it was anything, I think it was a dove sitting on its nest, so we don't want to blind it. Now I feel like a police on a nighttime patrol. Riti, you'd love to find an owl. Yes, an owl would be cool. Maybe something big like a spotted eagle owl that we don't see all that often, or even a white-faced owl. That would be quite nice, or a Scops owl. Just any owl, I agree. Owls are very beautiful. I really, really like them. Now, I thought I had seen one, but that's actually just a bit of a funny thing on a tree. So not that one. Nope, nothing around here. The good news is, though, obviously as summer starts approaching, hopefully chameleons are going to start being seen a little bit more often, which would be wonderful, because they are such funny looking creatures. Hopefully we'll start seeing tiny little ones, but those ones are always the hardest ones to spot, because clearly they are very small, so it's not as easy to spot them as it might be spotting other things. Where are you, eyes? Monique in London, you're wondering if we ever managed to ID that very strange raptor that we saw the other day. Well, Jerry seems to not be 100% sure of exactly what it was, but the general consensus of everyone involved is that it's a very strange pale morph Wahlberg's eagle. So it had a lot of dark, it was quite strange, and maybe getting it in flight would have been a little bit more helpful to try and decipher what it was. But it seems like everyone decided that it was actually a pale morph Wahlberg's eagle, but a very strange one. There was a lot of people's general impression was that it could also be perhaps a booted eagle, but then something just didn't look right. So for the first time in my history, I was actually right about a bird and Tristan wasn't. So that was all that really mattered to me, because Tristan is far better birder than me. So he's normally right, and I normally go to him for counsel the same way he comes to me for trees. So I was right for once. So how is it that the saying goes? The student has become the master. Well, not the master, but at least on this occasion I wasn't too far off. So apparently, pale morph Wahlberg's eagle, that's the one. And we saw another one today. No, I think that's a diker sleeping in the distance. We don't really want to disturb all of these diurnal creatures. And then we shall see what else is around here. Come on, little leopards. Another duiker all the way over there, and another one over there. There's a lot of them around here. No wonder the leopards hang out around this area. Oh, I got excited there for a second. I saw lights in the distance, and I thought that maybe because they were reddish, they were actually a predator's eyes. But in reality, they were the lights of the town far, far away. Just going through the branches of the trees. Now, come on, beautiful creatures. Shrimp monster, you're wondering what chameleon species are nocturnal. Well, here we only have one, which is it's easier to see it during the night, but that does not mean that they are only active during the night. Often you'll see them active during the day, and that is called the flap-neck chameleon. Now, other species of chameleon in other parts of the world, I'm not 100% sure, but I think a lot of them tend to be diurnal, particularly the ones that we get in South America. And in the forest, what is that? No, that's a stump. So the flap-neck chameleons, we manage to see them a lot easier as we drive around in the night, just because they shine a little bit different. So you can sometimes pick up the shape of their body in between the branches, where it's during the day it's very hard to see them because, well, they are chameleons and they camouflage very well. So they actually live up to the expectations of being very hard to find. Now, I wonder where all these leopards that were hanging around here are today. Mystery, mystery. Seems like Tristan has got all the wonderful news, and it seems like the Nkuhumas are slowly approaching Juma. So let's go over to him and have a look at those beautiful girls.
They are indeed slowly but surely moving through the long grass, heading straight in our direction. So we've repositioned, and we're sitting right where the buffalo first came across to our area, and the lions are coming straight towards us. And it's quite an eerie thing with those eyes glowing in the long grass as they move towards this area. Now, of course, I can't sit exactly where they're going to cross. The way that they're walking, they're probably going to cross a little bit towards the west of me, but there's no reception where that is. So I'm having to stay where I am now and just hope that they move straight towards us and kind of come in our general direction, and that this vehicle in front stops blinding us with a light, because the vehicle in front keeps blinding us and shining their light directly at us. But they're trotting off into this drainage section, so I don't know if they've spotted something in that general area. So maybe there's something there that they were busy running from. You can see slowly but surely they're piling across and moving in to the thicket. But it is very dark the moment, and so it is perfect hunting conditions. Since I think maybe let's go to the left, they should pop out somewhere here. I can just see the eyes in my spotlight moving slowly through this thicket, and they're then going to cross over onto Juma just to the left here. There's the road right there, so maybe let's just quickly turn the car so that we're on the road itself. Here they come running, the little cubs. They're trying to keep up with the moms as they go. So we're going to try and just position ourselves that I can see them. There we go. That should be a bit better, Senzo. In that they should come out right here in front. Now I'm hoping that we're not going to lose signal. There we go. So they should come up the road towards us, and there are the lions coming over. So 1, 2. You can see they are in need of a meal at the moment. But that's 2 lionesses, and here comes the third one, and a cub's going to come bounding across the road. There goes a little cub jogging as she goes. Third lioness, another little cub jogging. And the rest of them are still coming. I can see lots of eyes heading in my direction, so the rest are on their way, and they're going to get the buffalo scent in the next few seconds, because the buffalo scent is going to be right where these guys are, and then I think the hunt is going to be on, and they're going to actively be following that scent into that area. Now, the rest of them are about, I would say, 30 seconds from emerging, some of them, onto the road. So we're just going to have to be a bit patient and wait for the rest to come. I can see them kind of moving through the grass in the background. There we go. There's another lioness. That's the one with the big wound. You can see she is working absolutely fine. There is a little bit of a kind of gingerness, but other than that, it's really not bad. Considering the size of the wound, she's done very well to be able to sustain herself, and that's not a bad limp by any stretch of the imagination. I saw a video the other day where somebody was saying that they're limping very badly and that she's looking as though she's going to die, and it's all very depressive and very bad. But as you can see from that, she's walking just fine. She's not limping like everybody thinks she is. She's actually okay. Right, now I'm going to have to try and turn. Is there still one more coming, Senzo? I think all of them have gone over, to be honest. Maybe there's one or two more, but let's try and just turn ourselves around, because the thing with the rain covers is that I can't actually see on my side. So I'm trying to kind of turn in ways that I can see them. Here they're going to come across straight in front of us. Senzo, hold on. Is there anybody behind me there? Okay, we've got to make sure that we don't have people behind us as we go, because ultimately we don't want to crash into anybody. So they should come through this gap. I can see them just moving on my right hand side, and they are coming towards this gap over here. This is where the buffalo went straight over. We're right on the buffalo tracks at the moment, so this is where they all crossed, and the lions themselves are just moving slightly over this way. Unfortunately, this area has really bad reception, and so we're going to have a situation where we're going to have to just sit and try and figure things out and move slowly, and it's going to be intermittent glimpses of these guys as they go. So we're just waiting for a vehicle to go past so that they can go, and then we'll put on our lights again. Hopefully the rest, there they are. I can see them. They are slowly but surely coming in this general direction, so hopefully they're going to pop out now. Macy, you're wondering if a lioness can take down a buffalo on her own, or if it requires the use of the whole pride. Well, in some circumstances, yes. Last year in the drought, when the buffalo were very weak, we were finding that the lionesses were able to take down buffalo on their own. But generally, it will require, now at this time of the year, especially when we've had a little bit of rain and the buffalo have fed a lot better than last year, you're going to find a situation that most of the lionesses will be needed to wrestle with those big buffalo bulls. If it's buffalo calves or young females or young males, then you'll find the lions will be able to do it by themselves. But when it's a big bull, they're going to have a situation where they're going to have to. There they come. So they are coming out right now. Look, you see, noses down. They're sniffing those buffalo for sure. They've picked up the scent now. They know, okay, buffalo are here. We are going to now follow them. So that's the first female that's come through. The rest of them are going to start piling around pretty shortly. And I'm going to imagine that they're going to follow that scent exactly the way that it was with the buffalo. Look, you can see they're walking exactly where we first had the buffalo. That was the first view we got of those buffalo, was in that thicket. And these lions know for sure that there is meat around, and there's a tasty buffalo morsel waiting for them around one of these corners. And it's just such a pity the buffalo didn't push further south into Djuma, because we would have definitely heard the sounds of lions hunting later in the evening. But at this stage, I think they're going to probably push back north again. I would ideally like to move so we can get a better view of the Nkuhumas, but I don't know if we're going to have a chance to. I think we might lose reception, and it's right at the end of the show, but they're all angling off a little bit now, so I'm going to just risk it. I do apologize if we lose a little bit of reception. Please bear with me. It will come back. It's just that I want to try and see.
Seems like the Gremlins attacked Tristan once more. We are now slowly heading back home, as it is that time of the day where we get to be nice and warm again. Unfortunately, we haven't had any luck with the spots, although we have been looking very thoroughly, just in case. Oh, some Impala on the side, so we're not gonna put the light on them. We're going to carry on driving around here. Hopefully there will be something around. Normally predators have a funny way of all being quite close to one another, so hopefully there will be a leopard somewhere around here, which is not too far away from where Tristan and the lions are. But very nice to see that the Nkuhumas are stalking buffalo, and like Tristan said, I do hope that they end up hunting them and chasing them all the way here. And very happy to hear that lioness with the wound on its hip is actually still doing well, and that there's no visible sign of a limp. It's probably a good indication that she's healing, and that slowly but surely she's gonna get there. Seems like a lot of our lions have gotten a bit of a beating lately, and every time it's been closer to Kruger, so it proves that the boundary, the fringes of the territory can be a little bit dangerous. I am, however, going to say goodbye to all of you. It's been wonderful having you on a very raptor-filled drive, and we'll send you back across to Tristan for the last few minutes of drive, just to enjoy the company and see what the lions get up to.
Well, you can see they're slowly but surely coming out now, and they really are noses to the ground, sniffing these buffalo out and just checking, and they following the scent of where the females walked. So the bull buffalo came towards where I am, the females walked where those lionesses are now, and you can see they kind of worked out, hang on a second, these things have turned around and the whole pride is now changing direction again and heading straight towards us. You see there's a female coming back again, so she's picking up, hang on, these things have turned, and look at how the noses are down as they calculate and work out exactly where these buffalo have gone, and they are almost step for step following them. Unfortunately, though, it is that time of the day where we will unfortunately have to leave them. Also, they're going to cross back over into Buffelshoek in the next minute or so as they follow these buffalo back to the north. But it's been an absolutely wonderful day. I think we've had an incredible drive given the weather. We've had the most amazing things, the lions, Ali with her eagles, so it's been an absolutely wonderful afternoon. So from Ali and myself and Senzo and VM, we'll see you all on our sunrise safari tomorrow.